Yeah? So let me share with you a couple of events. This is a global event. The lady called Mirella Sura, she actually has a huge community of women entrepreneurs in London, and they're coming for the first time in Dubai. I don't know them personally. I've never been to their events. It's the first time that they're doing it here. So it's not something that I necessarily recommend, because even I haven't seen the name of the speakers. All of these speakers are coming from abroad. I think they're all coming from London. So I personally don't know them, but I think I will attend the event just to see what are the topics that they discuss, because they all have experience in London, so it should be new topics. Like here, events and speakers, usually you get used to, you see the similar faces all the time. It's happening on 6th of May, on Saturday. I might have a couple of complimentary tickets. So if any of you is interested in the subject, I'm sharing with you first. I think we have around 5 complimentary tickets. If any of you is interested, let me know. If not, if you're more than 5 who want to attend, it's not really too expensive as well. So you can purchase the tickets. So that's one event that's happening on May 6th. Then have any of you been to the Entrepreneur Magazine events? Do you know the Entrepreneur Magazine? It's one of the leading magazines, publications basically, and they have very good content. So they have an event next Monday actually. One of the things I want to discuss with you is that if everybody is okay to have the next class on Tuesday instead of Monday, this is usually the topics that entrepreneurs, this is something I recommend. So the Entrepreneur Magazine events are one of the top. So I recommend all of you to go as well. It's a free event. We just have to make sure that there is enough space. So I recommend that you register today. It's a free event. I highly recommend you to go. It's next Monday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if everybody is okay that we all spend our next Monday at this event, and then we will have our session on Tuesday, we can do that. If not, we can keep it as Monday. It's not a problem. So what do you think? Can everybody do it on Tuesday? Yeah? So I will send you the details of all the links and everything where you can register for this by email. So this one, I'm gonna probably go, but it's not something that I necessarily recommend because I don't know who the speakers are. But this one definitely is something that I know it will be good, so I recommend you to go. Najahi has an event. They usually bring top speakers, like they brought Robert Kiyosaki last November. They're trying to bring Tony Robbins. They're trying to bring Oprah. So like they're new. They have started a year and a half ago, but they're trying to bring all of these big names to the Middle East. So they have an event. Murray Buffett is one of the speakers, and they talk about investment, real estate, you know, stocks, everything. Like it's more of a, there are different topics about property, investment, trading, business, and we have an offer for our members. If 2 of you register, so you can get 2 tickets for the price of 1. Again, it's not very expensive. It starts from 150 dirhams to 365 dirhams. 365 dirhams, you can actually have a morning coffee with Murray Buffett herself. So it's also a nice event to be there, especially if you want to learn more about property, investment, etc., which are important topics. About the offer, I will let you know, but I think 2 of you can get for the price of 2 tickets for the price of 1. Sometimes they do free upgrade as well. So you buy gold, you get diamond. Depending on when you want to register, they have different offers. So if you're interested in any of the events, let me know, then I will send you the right link. This is me. The event coming up. Let me share with you something that back in 2013, Ryan was like a 1.5-year-old. We were struggling really with the business. The business was 2-year-old, which I think is one of the most challenging periods. Let me tell you, for those who are starting, because at the beginning it is challenging, but you're all excited. Like everything looks positive. You're all excited to do it. But then like first year, you're still excited. Second year, you say, okay, you know, it's not going as I planned. Something is wrong. So that's one of the reasons that 90% of businesses fail after 3 years. Because honestly, after 3 years, you said, okay, is it worth it? No, you just shut down the business. So we were in that phase of 2-3 years. And I shared with you that was one of the reasons that we put this course together. Because if we knew all of these things from the beginning, it would have made our journey much easier. But also as a mother, as an entrepreneur, a young child, and myself, that like I love adventure, I love traveling, I felt that my life was completely out of control. I was just like running and trying to make sense of everything, business, being a new mom, having all of these new roles, which all of a sudden came into my life. I was very grateful to have them, but at the same time, it took some time to adjust myself with all of these new roles. I did a lot of workshops. I remember the first time that I decided to do something about it was a coach from London, Judy May Murphy, and I met her at one of the events. I really liked her, but she charged £2,000 for 3 hours. That was a lot of money, especially like as an entrepreneur. That, for me at least, it was a lot of money. And I told myself, okay, I really like her. I'm going to invest that money. If it works, I'm going to continue this journey. If it doesn't, I just lost £2,000. So that was a learning. She really changed a lot of things for me. That 3 hours, it was not just the 3 hour. I learned a lot from her, and it was a huge shift in my life. So I said, okay, it was worth it. And from that day, I learned that the money that I invest in myself, it never is never wasted, never. So every time you learn something, you grow, and then everybody else around you. So when I invest in myself, everything around me becomes better. So instead of trying to change other people or the circumstances, if I change myself, everything will change. Then I did Tony Robbins in London. I did NLP. I worked with all of these coaches. I went on the journey of self-mastery. I call it self-mastery. And all of the things that I learned, all of the things that we have to do as small habits that in the long run will make a huge difference in our life. And the way I put them in action, people were usually asking, like, how do you manage? Now you have 2 kids, business, etc. And I put everything together into one workshop. Everything that I learned in the last couple of years, all of the frustrations that I had, all of the challenges that I had. And there are 3 things that I learned personally. One was energy optimization, how my energy level can make a huge difference in the way I perform. And I read a lot of books about our 4 pillars of energy, our 4 layers: physical energy, emotional, mental, and spiritual, and how each of them, the things that we can do on a daily basis, which help us to raise our energy. And when we raise our energy, definitely we can perform better in everything that we do. A task that might take you 2 hours, if you're at the right state of mind, it will take you half an hour. Time management, the things that we can do, is not just prioritizing, but properly knowing our roles, what do we have to do for each role, and then planning them ahead of time, 1 week in advance. And goal setting, if you want to achieve something, how to break it down into weekly actions, monthly actions, and daily actions. So all of the things that I learned personally, I put them together into a 1-day workshop, which we are digitalizing this as well. So we are running it for the first time on, is it going to be 21st of May now? So 27th of May is Ramadan. So initially we wanted to do it 27th of May, but then we realized that it's in Ramadan. So we said, okay, maybe we can do it one week in advance on 21st of May. What do you ladies think? Do you prefer to be, do you mind if it's during Ramadan, or it doesn't really make a difference? It's a full day workshop from, let's say, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's a Saturday. Not a good option, huh? You need to do for Ramadan, huh?
I think maybe the middle of Ramadan, it's just the first week we're trying to adjust to the Ramadan night, and then after when we tell our bodies are okay, and then we will be fine to attend. Before Ramadan might be squeezed for you, right?
I don't mind. It's in 3 weeks, so I have all the content ready. For me, it's fine. And because we're digitalizing it, again, we're going into the digital world. Because we're digitalizing it, I like to get feedbacks from people who come to the workshop if we need to change anything for the digital. I'd rather do it earlier, and everybody who attends the workshop, again, they will have free access to the digital version as well. So you will have the best of 2 worlds again, the workshop and digital. So maybe we'll do it on, so not definitely May 27th. I'll let you know whether we do it 1 week in advance on May 21st, or we do it in the middle of Ramadan.
Let's do a quick show of hands if you don't mind.
Sure.
Who prefers which one? 1 week before the 21st of May? Who's up for the 21st of May? Okay.
You don't have to attend, just like if you wanted to attend, which day would be prefer, yeah.
And the week after, not the 27th,
I will be in South Africa after that.
3rd of May, 3rd of April,
I'm going on 4th, 3rd of June.
3rd of June. between the 21st of May and 3rd of June, which is the preferred date.
3rd of June, anybody who prefers 3rd of June? Both are okay. All right, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so probably we'll do it on 21st of May because I have to travel to South Africa on 4th of June. So if any of you, and for Mompreneur Rising alumni, we have 40% off. So every event that we do, we either have it complimentary for the alumni or we have it at a very good discount rate. So if any of you is interested to have this, we have 40% off for our Mompreneur Rising alumni as well. These are about the events. Any questions about any of them? No? So the decisions, next class will be on Tuesday. Hopefully we all go to the Entrepreneur Magazine event and I'll share the links with you. For now, let's have Marianne and Mirhan, if you can just come here, introduce yourself. Just tell us what you do. Very, very casual, yeah. And I'm gonna put this for you, but don't run away with it, please. Okay, go ahead.
So my name is Marianne Azari, and I'm a managing director for creative agency, and I'm a mom of 4. And what else should I say?
About your idea.
Okay. So I want to do e-commerce for moms where I sell products and services that would make moms' life easier, more convenient, and make moms actually look more beautiful and have a better health. So
she walks the talks. How old are your twins?
They are 16 months now.
16 months twins. Wow, that's amazing. That her idea is also very close to my heart. So,
so really, I mean, my point is to help moms to still have kids and yet look after themselves and have themselves as first, and then the kids come second, always, because it's like on the plane. When there is a crash, you first look after yourself and then you look after your kids. Otherwise, no one is gonna survive. So this is the same concept. So the mom has to, for me, look after herself in terms of investment. Like Mona was saying, it's all about what you invest on yourself, and whatever you spend on yourself is actually not a waste, and it will reflect on you, on your kids, and on the people around you. So beauty, well-being, and convenience of life are the 3 pillars that I would like to tackle in the business.
Awesome. Thank you. I need a lot of her tips, so I'm looking forward for the website to be live. And Mirhan, just put this for you.
Thank you. Okay. So hi everyone. My name is Mirhan Mandoor, and I'm very far from that because I only have 1 kid. I think you guys are heroes if you have more than 1 child. Really, it's a lot of work. But I think I was a bit taken by my banking career, which is more than 20 years. So when I came to Dubai, I did some consultancy work for banks, and I really saw that there is a gap in terms of sales productivity. Like, I felt there is a tool that is really needed in the market to help people become more efficient. So what I did was I teamed up with a company that specializes in digital solutions for financial institutions, and we built this mobile application, which I hope you can all use, and I'm happy to offer it for you on a free trial basis. I'll give you the link, you can download it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this application now is being used by a couple of very large banks in the UAE, and it's really helped them improve their productivity by up to 30% for some users, just because it's very easy to use. And I'll be happy to give you a more detailed demo about it. So we recently established our company in N5, Dubai Internet City's Innovation Hub. And we've been getting some really good feedback from our users, and there's some good deals in the pipeline. But we also started to look at end users who would just download the application from App Store and Google Play. And so we're building another strategy towards this segment. And in terms of news, because you were talking about, so last week, the reason why I missed the course is I was in Lisbon, Portugal, because we had won an award for Best Innovation for the banking community. One of the large core banking system providers was organizing this innovation jam, and we won that in Abu Dhabi. So that entitled us to go to Lisbon, Portugal to participate in the finals. So I had to make the demo in front of 1,200 people. It was a very large scale event. So it went very well, but even though we didn't win, we were alongside some top-notch fintech companies. So I'm okay with that. I mean, the people that won were really fantastic. So it's still a win for us because we had the opportunity to make this presentation. And yeah, we're very excited to continue our journey and be part of this course and meet you all. Maybe later we get to know each other.
That's a huge news. I forgot you went to Lisbon.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. Sama, I think I need to take this off because it's really bothering me. I will take my jacket off. And Helen, thank you for joining us. I know you just came. Do you want to have a water or something and then just present yourself?
Sure. Water?
Yeah, it's tea, coffee, water. Traffic in the mornings can be tricky.
Today it was red on Google Maps the whole way. I think I got orange.
You gonna wear your jacket? You can wear your jacket.
No, it's okay. I'll not wear it.
And then you can wear your jacket.
Yeah. And you look great.
Oh, thank you. All right, good morning. Sorry I'm late, first of all. My name is Helen. I am a lawyer by education, but I decided I hated it, so quit right away and got into marketing communications for about the first 10 years of my career. I then worked in community development with Her Majesty Queen Rania of Jordan, and then got into youth entrepreneurship through working with her. And I also got into mentoring for entrepreneurs as the CEO of a foundation called Mowgli, which does mentoring for entrepreneurs. We did it in the UK, the Middle East, and North Africa, and I was responsible for all 12 countries. I later decided to venture on my own entrepreneurship journey, and I'm a partner and co-founded a tech startup. We did amazingly well, and we're still doing well, but I hated the tech industry when it didn't have anything to give back to the community. I've always been one of those kind of charitable people, and I don't like using the word charity because I don't believe in charity, but one of those people that always volunteered and always was the first person to go and give meals and things like that. So I felt like it was time for me to actually do something that had impact. Overnight, it was one of those kind of eureka moments. On April 1st last year, my husband showed me a tweet on Twitter by a company called Kid Backer. And Kid Backer was an investment company that would invest in kids' ideas. So I don't have the funds to be a kid investor, you know, but what I can do is actually teach kids how to become entrepreneurs and how to have an entrepreneurial mindset. And that's what I decided to do. April 5th last year, I signed an agreement with an international curriculum called BizWorld UAE. And a year on, we're now in the UAE and Jordan. And we're running entrepreneurship education programs with people like the Ministry of Education here. We're now working with the Ministry of Education in Jordan. We've integrated it into curriculums. So I'm not looking at workshops. Workshops we do for fun, just so that I can learn what the kids' behaviors are like. But our core mission is to actually change the education system and integrate entrepreneurship learning and behavioral skills in curriculums like English and subjects like English, math, and social studies. I'm a mother of 2 girls, 9 and 5, and I'm a triathlete. So I swim, bike, and run every morning, one of the 3. And I'm on the board of a number of NGOs that work with either refugees or Palestinian children. And I'm also a mentor and advisor for a few people, such as someone who's in Italy called Roberta, who's the founder of the Social Enterprise Project, working with women refugees in camps in Jordan. That's about it, I think.
Then she can write a book about everything she does.
Yeah, so that's, I climb mountains for charity, and that's about it. Yeah,
awesome. You're all amazing, but Helen, I know her on from various workshops, and we have mastermind, and we do the fitness pal together. So like I do body pump, I burned like 275 calories. I'm like, yay! Then it comes, Helen just burned 2,500 calories. I'm like, what? I felt good like 5 minutes ago. So amazing, yeah. Okay, so you see that we have an awesome group, as always. As I mentioned to you earlier, I believe in energy, and I believe that people come into groups because we have something in common, and we are here to learn from each other. So yes, we are running the workshops, but all of us are here to support each other. So any of you, I'm sure that all of you have experiences in different areas. We can all help each other and support each other. So today's session is, let's go through the fundraising. It's one of the important sessions. How many of you are looking for investors? Now, at the moment, how many of you are considering, investment at some point? Yeah. Okay. Has anybody have gone through any kind of fundraising? You have gone, Helen. Anybody else? Okay. So some of these might not be new to you, but it's good to go through them together as well. This is one of my favorite charts. I asked Elnaz if you can share it with everybody as well. I think it's one of the best ways that describes different options that we have as entrepreneurs to go through the fundraising journey. I call it a game because for me it's really like a game. It's never-ending game. You do fundraising one, and then it's like I think Dunya, when she comes, she can tell you about that. You have to keep fundraising. So sometimes they joke that you need actually one co-founder whose job is to make sure that the pitch deck is ready, the financials are ready, pitch to the investors, and go through the whole fundraising journey. I will have a copy as well. So first of all, let's say why an investor, share with me, why do you think that investors put their money in something that they know 90% of them will fail?
Because they're hoping for high returns, at least at a short period of time that the business will.
Exactly, high risk and high return. So if one of them becomes like Kareem, and they have that proper exit that will give them that high return, then it was worth their investment. So they know from the beginning that when they're investing in your business, the chances of your business failing is very, very high. So sometimes entrepreneurs feel guilty, like they're investing their money. What if it won't work? They know it. They know that. And they are not putting their, the money that they would have paid for the school's education, etc., into your business. That's the money that they consider gone, and they're hoping that it will give them that high return. So I want, first of all, is that don't feel guilty that somebody is investing in your business. They know the risks, and that is what they're doing by choice, because that's one of the things that I hear a lot from entrepreneurs. Why would they invest in my business? It might fail. It's okay. One of the other concerns is that one of the ladies was asking me that she had a couple of businesses that failed. Why would an investor invest in my business? Again, they actually prefer that you have failed a couple of times and you become an entrepreneur again, or at least you have an experience before. So it's okay, like failing in a business, it doesn't mean a failure. If a business didn't work for any reason, it was a learning experience. So if any of your ideas that you have worked on before hasn't worked, it's good actually to mention to them that I work in this idea or that idea. So that is the reason that investors invest in you, because of the high returns, the high risk and high return. Why are you looking for an investor? What are the reasons that entrepreneurs go through the journey of fundraising? A lot of the reasons, do you want to scale the business? So yes, if you want to be in one market, or if you have a service kind of industry, if you're in a service industry, you don't necessarily need that money probably. But if you want to scale, especially into new markets, into other countries, you definitely need a lot of money. So e-commerce website, I personally, when we launched Momsouk, I thought we will just launch the website, we invest on the website, and then everything will be on its own. No. And then I read the book by Tony Hsieh, what is it The Happiness? I read it a couple of years ago. And he was talking about like millions of dollars they invested on the e-commerce websites. that they had. So having an e-commerce website, there's a perception sometimes that it doesn't require that much of money. Wrong, especially when it comes to technology and we want to scale. It's good to have an investor from day one who can help us scale the business. So let's go through these stages together. At the idea stage, some of you are at this stage already. Some of you are at this stage at the moment. You own 100% of your business. And you are working on the idea, you're testing it, you're doing surveys, you're doing your market research. After some point, you might have a co-founder. So you divide 50-50, 20-80, whatever, depending on the responsibilities that each of you have. And some people start with having 4 or 5 co-founders, which is actually great. Like investors love to see different co-founders who have different skills and experiences in the team. Then the third stage is the family, friends, and fools. So it's like 3F. If you hear is friends, family, and fools. People that you don't necessarily need to go to them with a pitch deck. They will not ask for your financials. You're just like having a dinner with a father or a husband or uncle or brother. You tell them this is a great idea. They say fantastic. They invest in your business, right? You don't need to come to this course for it. They just love you and they invest in your business. And that's why it's called fools. You know, but also it's like emotions which are involved. Yes, the idea is good, but they don't need to do a due diligence to make sure that the idea will work. So that is basically the stage 3, family and friends. You don't need to do much of a pitch deck and research for them. The game starts from seed round. So somebody who doesn't love you as much as your father or your husband or your brother, who wants to see proper numbers in order to invest in your business. There's no emotions at all involved. They are just looking for the high return. And that is the reason that they invest in your money. So the family and friends, the maximum they will invest is like $20,000, $50,000, $100,000. Like it doesn't go beyond that really. But when it comes to the seed round, usually when you're looking for, let's say, $200,000, of an investment, and you need to have a proper plan, proper pitch deck that we'll go through. Why do you need this money? Where you're going to invest, to spend this money? And what are the numbers? What are the financials? What are the projections? So the game starts basically at the seed round. And for me, fundraising, it has its own dictionary. So there are certain names that you need to know about. Like pitch deck is just a presentation that you're giving to investor, but it's called the pitch deck. Seed round is the first round of fundraising, and you need to know that like it's usually between $100,000 to $300,000 at a valuation of let's say $1 million valuation. Do you know what is the valuation of the company?
It's the worth of the company, but how is this determined? I mean, especially for a startup that hasn't generated any sales or something.
There is a formula behind how to do valuations. It's not, how many of you have done valuation for your company? Has anybody done valuations? Yeah. Basic one, yeah. The valuation of the company is not, it has a lot of things behind it. And there's a nice article by an organization called Investors that I will share with you. But usually if you're a startup, it's based on your projections, 3 to 5 years of your projections. The benchmark of how much does a similar company worth. So it's the combination of your projections, the benchmark, and the market value, like how much demand is in the market. So you put everything together, you come up with a valuation. So you say, for example, my company is worth $1 million based on the 3 years projections that I have. An investor might come to you and say, I don't agree. For me, it's worth $500,000. Why is the valuation important? Because if you decide that your company's value is $1 million, and then you decide to give 10% of your shares, you're getting $100,000 from your investor. Is that clear? Yeah? Did I lose anybody? Okay. So let me write it down actually for you. If it's something that you have never done before, it might be a bit confusing. So please feel free to ask. Is the concept of valuation clear? The value of the company?
No, it's not. Like you just said, the investor might say it's only worth $500,000 while you insist it's worth $1 million. Then
Yeah.
what is the
Sometimes you involve a third party or an agency.
There is professional agencies.
There are professional agencies to do that. So if you have watched all of these Shark Tank videos, etc., like that's one of the debates. The entrepreneur goes and says, okay, my company's value is it's $1 million, and I need $100,000 for it. I give you 10% share. And that's one of the negotiations. They said, like, yeah, the idea is great, but it doesn't worth $1 million. It worth $800,000. So I will give you $80,000 only for the 10%. So there is that negotiation always between, if you have already done fundraising, it's much easier for the Series A, Series B, because you benchmark it based on your seed round. So now when Dunya comes, they have already, like when you do the initial one, later on it's much easier because you have that benchmark. So let's say based on, again, a couple of things, agencies are involved, so I don't expect you to do it on your own, but you can do a basic one on your own as well based on your financial projections. You decide that your company value is $1 million. Okay, we make it simpler. So it might be like $1 million, $1.2 million, for example. And you say that I am willing to give 10% equity to investors based on this valuation. So I'm raising $100,000. So you go to an investor and say, give me $100,000. I'm going to invest it on hiring new people, on my app, developing my app, on this or that, developing my website, etc. You have a proper plan of how you're going to use this $100,000, and you give them 10% of your company based on the valuation of $1 million. Yeah.
And then eventually I'm going to give them 10% back of my company valuation.
But your company is probably really only worth about 10,000 right now.
Okay, not really.
The valuation is based on potential.
And 3 years.
3 years.
Potential. So you're saying based on $1 million. Right now, all I have is 10,000. But I value my company at 1 million. So because of that value, this is how much I'm going to get.
That's why your financials is very, very important. Like in the finance session, when we talk about the projections, you have minimum 3 years, ideally 5-year plan. And so if your company like generates $2,000 now, $5,000 now, they will not give you that $100,000. It's not worth $1 million. But if you say that, okay, I'm going to be in UAE year 1, I'm going to Saudi year 2, I'm going to Egypt, for example, year 3, and this, my sales are, so there are a couple of things behind getting this number of, like, why your company value at $1 million. But after you get this, like, you go to an investor and say, based on the valuation of $1 million, I'm willing to give you 10%, so give me $100,000. The investor might say, okay, they look at the projections, they look at everything that you have done, and they say, they might agree or they may not. So there's some negotiation involved here between you and your investor. So this usually happens with a valuation of, let's say, $1 million when you're raising $100,000 to $300,000. So let's say you're giving 10% to 30% of your company. It's called a seed round. So this is at the beginning, the first time that you're doing fundraising. Is this clear for everybody? Asmar? You look a bit not sure.
So I understand the part that how you get that 1 million projection and how you decide how much the 10% is. So let's say 3 years passed and I don't understand that. So he's actually the owner of 10%
Of your company.
Oh, okay.
Of your company from now on. So from day one, he owns 10% of your company.
Okay.
And yeah.
How do you pay these people out? So on a yearly basis, you annualize the profits and you pass 10% directly on, or after 3 years you accumulate the revenues over the past 3 years and then you pay out after 3 years, or is there different conditions?
Yeah, you don't need to give them back this $100,000. So they are not expecting you to give them the $100,000 back. They actually want a lot more than that, right? But that's again an agreement between both of you. You say that, okay, year 1, the company is not actually making any profit, which is actually a common case. So if your company doesn't make money first year, don't worry. First 3 years, after 3 years, hopefully it will make money. But if you're not making money in the first 3 years, you say, okay, nobody's actually taking any profit. So even though we're giving dividends to all of our shareholders, everybody will reinvest the money back into the company. So that is, again, from a case to case, it's different. But a lot of times investors are actually looking for exit as well after 3 years. So you say that, okay, the valuation of the company year one is $1 million, but after 3 years, it's going to be $10 million. So then they're looking for like their 10% will worth 1 million, not 100,000. So what they want, like your investors are investing in your business, they are not really after cash for the first couple of years. They are not dependent on this $100,000. They want to reinvest in a company so that it can get to the much higher, like Kareem. I don't know what's the valuation of Kareem by now. It's more. They just raised like 80 million based on a valuation of 1 billion. Yeah, the valuation of the company is, it's $1 billion. So just imagine Kareem, which is a startup, and people who invested in their business initially, maybe based on a valuation of 1 million, now there is 1 billion.
And if you see how they started, their office was literally the size of a corner. There were 7 people crammed on like one small desk. And every year they made money, they didn't spend anything. They just kept pumping it in on technology and pumping it in to get them to where they are today. So none of their investors got any money back. Now, obviously, that's
How many years did that took them?
this is probably their fourth.
Yeah, they're a startup, so I think it's a 4 years, 4 year in business. You wanted to ask them?
How we can estimate this rich during the 3 years and the $1 million?
In finance session, we will talk about the projections. So projections basically depends on your revenue. So you put all of your revenue, all of your costs every year, and you have to have the proper plan of which markets you are entering, how much is your revenue. In the finance session, you have to do it. That's one of the homeworks. You have to work on your financials.
When do you usually start looking for angel investors? Do you have to wait until a year until your company is
Yeah.
established?
If you can do bootstrapping, so bootstrapping is the first stages when you are investing everything yourself, you and your family, so you're investing, you're bootstrapping. It's better if you can at least get some clients, so you can, when you go to an investor, you can tell them that the idea is already working. If an investor comes at the very early stages, when you're just starting out, their demands are very, very high. I have seen people who ask for 80% of the company to invest that money. You don't really want that. So if you can actually go to them after a year, after 6 months, after you already have something, your MVP is ready, you have clients, you have customers, and you have proper valuations, then you can negotiate much better. So some people go from day one, it's fine, but just know that the negotiation power of the investor is bigger and stronger when you're at a very early stage. If you can show them some clients, if you can show them something, a product that is already in the market, then they want to be a part of it. Yeah? Is that clear now? So this is what valuation means, and Kareem was a great example. So people, the investors are not really after their $100,000. If they were after this, they would just put the cash in the bank and they would get 4% or 3% return. They are looking for cases like Kareem, that $1 million becomes $1.2 billion. And just imagine that people who invested in them from day one, they are now, I don't know what they're doing, but I'm sure they're very happy. Yeah? So that is basically the seed round. The first time that you go to, I know that, for example, Dunya is coming right away today. Dunya, with Mr. Usta, they did pre-seed. So sometimes it's not very common, but sometimes people do like one stage before seed, and they raise lower money. She'll talk about the pre-seed. Don't get confused with the pre-seed. So know that usually the first round is seed. And then you start with Series A, Series B, Series C. So if you go to an event, and for example, the speaker is talking about that we are doing fundraising for Series B, now you know what it means, right? So it starts from Series A, B, C, it can go higher, and then after that is the IPO. It's the initial public offering. It's actually when you go public. So the journey starts with yourself, family and friends, seed round, Series A, Series B, Series C, and then you go IPO.
Question. In one of the networks, I heard about crowdfunding platforms.
Yes, thanks for mentioning that actually. Crowdfunding usually happens before seed round. It's something between, like, let's say family and friends. At that stage, you can do crowdfunding as well. So there are different crowdfunding platforms where you actually put your concept online. Have you done crowdfunding? You did with Eureka?
Not Eureka, with Afkar Mena.
With Afkar Mena, yeah.
So we haven't gone live with it yet, but we've set it all up.
Yeah.
And usually with crowdfunding, it needs to be for a specific purpose. So I did my crowdfunding campaign is for me to raise the finances to Arabize although I've already done Arabization, but to Arabize the content to be able to put it into refugee camps. So, and it's a very limited amount. Like crowdfunding, you can't really raise a huge amount of money. We did for the company I'm a co-founder of in the US, we did a Kickstarter campaign, and with everything that we did, we raised $100,000. You know, so like,
Which is a lot. It's still, that's huge.
like stupidly
Yeah.
huge. Like it was
Yeah.
crazy. But usually it's around 25,000, 30,000. For the refugee camp one, I'm starting with 10,000 as the first goal. But you do a moving target, and you can go up to 10,000, 15,000, 20,000.
Yeah.
But it relies very heavily on your network. It relies very heavily on your social media activities. And you have to have a kick-ass video.
But how does it work? Can you
So
tell me?
there are different platforms. So some of them, they take shares. So Eureka, I've invested in a company on Eureka, and we get like 1%. And all it is they actually give you all of the finances and all of their projections, and then they tell you what they're going to use the money for, and you actually get shares. Okay? You have things like Afkar Mena and Kickstarter, you don't get shares. What you do is you pay the companies a percentage if you meet your target. So if you meet your target, you pay a percentage of it to the company that is hosting the
When
platform.
will you pay that?
Sorry?
When?
When, as soon as you get, they don't give you the cash until they take their account. And usually, if you don't get your minimum target, you don't get anything. So that's why you always start with a low target to at least guarantee you're getting something. And you always have to have a reward. So with the Kickstarter campaign we did in the US for In Requests, what we did was we had t-shirts, bookmarks, because it's a financial literacy game for kids. Okay, so the whole concept was to do financial literacy stuff. And so we had rewards. If you donated $50, you got a bookmark. You donated $150, you got this. So again, you have to invest money in creating these rewards or items. So yeah, I mean it's a good platform, but it's actually a lot of work.
It takes a lot of time.
It's a lot of
You
work.
built so you built in the cost for the items
Yes.
into your calculation.
Yes.
You raise 10K, but you spend 6, or actually you do that, and it would
Yeah. And then you have to give back to the company that's funding. So Afkar Mena take, Eureka take, Kickstarter take, everyone takes, they all take a percentage. And then you have to remember that everything is going on credit cards. So again, there's credit card fees on top of all of that. So unless you're doing something that the Kickstarter campaign, we did it for PR purposes. The finances, we were lucky that we got that money, but it was completely for PR purposes. The same thing for my Afkar Mena one. I already did the Arabization. I don't need the money for it, but I'm doing it to get leverage and just, I mean, if I get extra cash, but it's more of a PR stuff more than anything else.
It's like to send the word that we are doing
Yeah.
this kind of
And just to see what's interested in people supporting it and all of that.
Yeah, so crowdfunding could be a good option if you have a very strong network, as Helen mentioned. So there are already people who are interested to invest in your business, but they don't want to invest heavily. Like they don't want to invest each of them $10,000. So you open it to public. You say, whoever wants to invest in my business, I'm giving you shares of, let's say, 1%, 2%, depending on how much they invest in your business. But just bear in mind that it takes a lot of time to put everything together and then promote it to get that money. But again, yes, it's a great PR because all of these people, like the video that you create, everything that you create, everybody in your network will know about your product. There is another organization, Beehive, which also does crowdfunding for SMEs. So that's not for startups. You already should have a 1 million dirham, someone? I think 1 million dirham per year revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you already should have like 1 million dirhams of revenue every year in order to have your company, in order to do crowdfunding on Beehive. And that's more of a loan. So they're not taking equity, they give you a loan basically. So there are different options in the market depending on which stage you are at in order to get money from investors. Is this clear? And one thing that I like about this is that the 100% of nothing is a lot less than 17% of a big company. I think that tells you why entrepreneurs look for investors. So if Facebook, for example, if Mark Zuckerberg, I'm not sure how much of the company he owns, but if he owns, let's say, 20% of the entire Facebook, that company, that 20% is much bigger than if he owned 100% of a smaller company. So especially when it comes to tech, a lot of people go for investors because that gives them that valuation of $1 billion. Karim wouldn't be able to get into the valuation of $1 billion if they wanted to do it on their own. No way. So you actually go, but it's a journey, you know, it's like a marriage, honestly. They're your investors. After some time, it might work, it might not work, you want to buy your shares back. So you are putting yourself into, it can be a headache, but also there's always pros and cons for everything that we do as entrepreneurs. So is this clear? If you have any questions, please ask. The valuations, the seed round, Series A, Series B. Yeah? So I think for me, like I have seen a lot of charts. This is one of the best ways to describe the different stages of fundraising. What you need, the first thing that you need, Alicia asked me about incubators, accelerator, and co-working spaces. You can have additional support. And I think Mirhan is great that we have you because you are part of In5. In5 is one of the incubators in Media City. So there are organizations in each country who support entrepreneurs. They're either incubators, accelerators, or co-working spaces. The simplest one is a co-working space. How many of you have been at Impact Hub, for example? No? You have heard of them. So Impact Hub, for example, is a co-working space in Souk Al Bahar. It's a beautiful space. I really like it. Sometimes we do our events there. It's a huge open space. Your workshops are there. So basically, entrepreneurs pay a monthly fee of anything between, let's say, 750 to 1,500 in order to go and use their facility and have that support group. Because as we mentioned from day one as well, being an entrepreneur can be a very lonely journey. So it's actually good to have that space where you can go and meet other entrepreneurs, support each other. There might be a designer there might be somebody who can do your website. So having that community, somebody to talk to. Otherwise you go nuts, right? If you don't have a co-founder, a team, it can be a scary journey.
What was the name?
Impact Hub. What I can do is that we can prepare a list of all of the incubators, accelerators, co-working spaces in Dubai, and I can share them with you. A lot of them are our partners, but for now, I just want you to know the difference between them. So co-working spaces, it's basically just giving you that facility. They have workshops, paid or unpaid, depending on the way the workshop. It's a 1-hour workshop, for example, is usually for free for their members. So it's about having that facility of the table that they give you and having that support group with you. You want to ask something? No. Then accelerators and incubators, depending on their main objective, some of them, if they're part of the government, like In5, they genuinely just want to support entrepreneurs. And they want to, for them, the reason is that like they want to have those big names that were established in Internet City. So they want, like it's for government, it's important that they say, for example, Mr. Usta started at In5. So for them to be able to help entrepreneurs, to have those big names that are established as Internet City is their main objective. And usually the way that it works is that you go pitch to them, maybe Mirhan, if I haven't gone through the process, but you can also share with you, but you go pitch to them. The pitch deck that we share is the starting point for everything that you want to do. You tell them about the idea, you get selected, and then they give you the office space, the license fee, everything is reduced, and they are not getting any equity from you. So that's one good thing from In5, that everything that they do is just because they believe in you, they don't get any equity. And it's usually up to 3 years that they support you. But you can tell us as well, Mirhan, you can.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, they have no share in the company whatsoever. But you do have to go through a screening process in the beginning. You present your idea, they filter it, and then you may or may not be invited to make that pitch. But it's not a pitch for any fundraising. It's just so they evaluate whether they would be interested to have you in their incubator. And so we went through that, and they gave us the decision. We knew that a lot of companies get rejected, some of them get approved, so it really depends. But I think now that they have different streams of,
Yeah.
so it's not just technology, it's also design
And media.
and media. So we were obviously pushing for technology within their technology hub. And what they do is, it's not that they're cheap or anything, you still have to pay, but they subsidize your license a lot, and you're allowed to work in the shared workspace. You can, what we did, we got a little office, but that also you have to pay for. So it's not that it's free or that it's very, very, but of course, as Internet City, it's a prestigious, license to have. And they say that it's 6 months, but we know that
They usually extend it, yeah.
It extends, usually they keep you there for longer, and so you have some benefits and privileges and discounts on things. So it's really, and they, sorry to interrupt you, but they give you the opportunities to participate in things like Mompreneur courses. If you've heard of STEP conference, that was a really big conference for startups. So they open up a lot of opportunities in networking.
And they're quite active, like they're always asking for, so because they're one of our partners, always they're asking something for the members. So they really care about the members. Like if you can give them additional discount, or if you can do this, you can. So that's something, STEP conference, they give them a stand. Did any of you attend the STEP conference? Helen, of course. That's something, please put in your agenda for next year. You have to, like all entrepreneurs, you have to go to STEP conference, one of the best events. And they gave a stand to the top entrepreneurs to have for free. So whenever that they can promote entrepreneurs, they do that. And Dunya, who is coming, they also started from In5. They graduated from In5. Now they have their own office. Their team is like 15 people. So they really help you to get to the level that basically you graduate from In5.
In5, it gives you the trade license at a cheaper rate.
You can get your trade license at a much lower rate, much lower rate.
Normally the license, like for e-commerce business,
Yeah, Internet City definitely has a e-commerce license.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Of course.
I mean, it is already like cheap, an e-commerce license, and you get Visa on it.
So it's like a normal license that you get, but it's because it's part of Internet City, it's part of the government.
Okay.
So In5 is part of the government, and they just support entrepreneurs like you by, like, instead of paying 8K, you pay 1,000 as an example.
And then
But it's the same
you
license.
pay to work for the trade license and all
They help you with everything, right? Yeah.
It's not creative zone.
No.
But like that, but this is the zone itself. And the creative zone does that paperwork for you to get registered in the creative zone, like Virtue Zone, for example. So they're not the official zone themselves, but they help you. But In5 is part of the Internet City zone itself directly. And see, the problem is, if you wanted to establish yourselves in Internet City, it's very expensive because
Yeah.
you have to have a physical space to rent proper space, and it's really expensive. Right. But now they have other places linked to it, which is not in Internet City. I think Silicon or Waste. I'm not sure. But
T-Com. There's some offices
part
in
of-
T-Com.
yeah, part of Tico, but they have another like far off area where you can rent an office there, and so it's a disadvantage because you have to drive a long way and it's not as fancy.
But it's still like they are a tech company. So for those of you who are in the tech kind of industry, you can go and pitch to them. But the beauty of it is that, like, there is a box on a monthly box that says Marhaba Baby. And I know the ladies from, like the person behind it from years ago. And they are part of In5. And I said, okay, this is a monthly box. How is it related to tech? But because they collect databases from mothers, and then so they are basically a data company. That's how they position themselves as a tech company. So even if your final product is not an app or a website or a technology, but you can actually turn it into something which can be like a data company, then you can be a part of In5. So there are examples of people who have been part of the incubators or accelerators. When you look at the product, they don't look like a tech product.
But doesn't this limit you to some extent? I mean,
really the truth is no. I mean, yeah, I haven't. I mean, technically, that's what they say, but I haven't had any issue, and I'm working with governments, and I'm registered in the MCC. I'm working with KHDA and MSC. Like, if anyone is going to say no, they're going to be there.
So actually, the license that we have is the same as the license that Microsoft, Oracle, and all these big names. It's exactly the same license.
The in-file license is pretty good. Like sometimes if you have a license in Fujairah or in other free zones, you might have difficulties. But again, as Helen mentioned, it's a very gray, it's not a gray area. You should not work in Dubai, for example. But a lot of people do, and as long as you don't cause problem, they don't really tell you something. But if you want to be on a safe side, it's better to have your, like a DED license as well.
Legally speaking, it really depends on the type of business you have and
Yeah.
your end customer. Exactly, yeah. So for example, Helen, for you, working alongside companies like the KHD and everything is fine with your license. But if you were to sell to them, they wouldn't accept it.
I am selling to them. They have, because again, it's the type of, depending on the type of company. So I've registered mine as a consultancy and training, because I'm training teachers, you know, and I've had no issues.
Yeah.
You're right, it does depend on the business type, yeah.
So, but I mean, it depends. All I'm trying to say is that the rules, dig into them, and you'll figure out whether it's something that you can or can't do. Don't take what's given at face value. There's always a different way of operating, you know.
Yeah,
So
it's still very relaxed. They've got the rules in place. There is, document which says you can do this, you cannot do this, but it's not 100% followed.
Do you need like a legal advisor, or how would you?
Well, yes, you do need a legal advisor who will tell you exactly what the laws are, but the legal advisor won't necessarily tell you this is what you have to do. There are ways around it. They won't necessarily tell you what the ways around it are. They will tell you what the current laws are. So, for example, if you were to go to a legal advisor right now and say, I am an accounting company, can I set up in a free zone, let's say like the MCC, and work with a client who's the onshore company? They're going to say, no, you can't. Legally, you can't. There are workarounds. There are things like, for example, if the client approaches you, you're not the one who initiates the contact. If the client approaches you, and at the time that you are approached, you are at your office in the MCC, and the initial conversation takes place while you're at your office in the MCC, then it's fine. Your contract is basically made in the MCC, and you can do the work on their premises, but you cannot go and solicit work outside of the free zone. You can't come and knock on this office, for example, this door, and say, hi, can I be your account? That's illegal. So there are ways around it that don't necessarily get talked about, but the legal framework is very rigid and it's in place. So you need to do your homework before you decide what type of license.
And Creative Zone and Virtual Zone, Creative Zone is one of our partners. You can, all of you who are here who have questions, you can have a one-on-one session with them. You don't have to go to choose them at the end, but like they give you a proper consultation on what are the different ways to do it. For me, they're actually the best company. We have worked with a lot of them, had a meeting with a lot of them. Our mompreneurs are registered with them. Creative Zone is one of the most responsive and the easiest to work with. For us, and they have their own community as well, which is also very important. So they do events and they do different things for the community. So all of you who want to know more, you can have your one-on-one with Creative Zone. Before we had it as part of the curriculum, but each case is different, honestly, and we just confuse everybody. So we say, okay, let's have it as a one-on-one session. So whoever wants to sit with them, you can do that, and then you can decide on your own. But a lot of things in Dubai, it's a gray area. All of the mompreneurs who are at Ripe Market, a lot of them don't have license. Everybody knows about that. They just don't say anything. But if you want to scale your business, definitely you need to have a license. As soon as you want to get money, collect money, you need to have, legally you need to have some kind of license. So Creative Zone, Virtual Zone, you still pay the full amount of, let's say, 20K for your license if it's a free zone, etc. Much more if you're a DED. But as an incubator, which is in 5, you might pay, let's say, only 5,000 dirhams, much less. Because you are part of their incubator. But they don't give that option to everybody. They select people. So there's a screening that you need to go through.
After the 5,000, you need to pay additional money?
Yeah, when you're fully registered, then you pay. But the initial licensing
But at least at the beginning, a lot of your costs is already, it's covered. You don't have to go through them.
I urge you, if you're interested, go to the N5 website because they have all the information that they will require for the screening process. So go through that if you are interested.
And usually, because they're one of our best partners, like people, the mompreneurs who have taken the course, it's much easier to do the screen. Like if we tell them that like these are the ladies who are coming from our side, they know that they have already gone through the course, etc. So no promises, but I mean we have a very good relationship with them as well. So after the course, I highly recommend for those of you who are in the tech or media, N5 is one of the best incubators. Then we have accelerators who actually help you with a lot of education. So N5 doesn't provide you much of an education, I would say. Like, yes, they have the mentors on the website, but accelerators, they put you in a program. So let's say it's a 10-week program, it's a 2-month program that you go through and you meet with the mentors. They really help you to scale your business. And again, depending on the organization and what is their main objective, they might get equity from your business. So like, for example, you give them 8% of your shares and then you become part of that incubator or accelerator. So there are different options basically for entrepreneurs to start with. There are different support groups. And what we will do is that we'll make a list of the incubators and accelerators that we know in Dubai, and I will share it with you. Okay, let's move on. So pitch deck, again, is a presentation that you prepare in order to talk about your idea in front of investors, even partners. Whoever that if you're looking for a co-founder, you can share with them the same presentation. It's a 10 slide, usually 10 to 15 slides presentation. I made a very simple version. There are more sophisticated templates online, and you will have it on your folder, one of them as an example. But I don't want you to get confused with the design and how it looks like. First, have the simplest version. Then you can, make the design look much better, etc. At the beginning, just focus on the content. So you have one slide, which you just put your logo, your tagline, the date of your pitch deck. Sometimes investors, they just ask you to send them the pitch deck. They don't give you that opportunity to initially to present to them. It's good to always have the date of the pitch deck. Sometimes you have different versions of it. And you talk about your elevator pitch. Very, very simple of what you do. Mompreneurs Middle East is a community for mom entrepreneurs. We have entrepreneurship programs and we have a mentoring walk event. Something very, very simple, let's say in 20 seconds. You tell them initially, because we will talk about the products in detail in one of the slides, but at least from the beginning, they need to know what kind of a product you have. Are you in health? Are you in fashion? Are you an e-commerce website? So 10 to 20 seconds, just tell them what you do, elevator pitch. And this pitch deck that you are preparing for the purpose of this course, you have only 3 minutes. So we want a really the shortest version possible. When you're actually going to investors, you have around 10 minutes usually to 20 minutes to talk to investors. But we have been doing this since 2014. It's possible to do it in 3 minutes also. We had people who, the first batch had to do it in 2 minutes. So 3 minutes is more than enough, but you have to be really to the point. If judges have any questions, they will ask you questions later on. But for the purpose of this class, you have only 3 minutes, so make sure that you include only the main points. But when you're actually going to investors, you have around 10 minutes usually. Slide 2, you talk about the problem. You're not talking about your product yet. You're just talking about the problem. In my case, 90% of entrepreneurs fail in the first 3 years of their business. And then you talk about, for example, another problem. The maternity leave here is only 45 days, and a lot of moms don't want to leave their children, their babies, after they're born. So these are the problems. These are the fears, the needs that your target audience have. Why are you creating your product? Your product cannot be just a good to have. There is a problem that you are addressing with your product. So here you talk about the product. Does anybody want to share with us about the problem? Sorry, does anybody want to share the problem? What is the problem that you are?
Only 3% of the online content is in Arabic, and there are around, that's the figure actually, I think 1.4 million Arabic users, 14 million Arabic users who use the internet. There are around 128 million
There you go. You don't always have to have figures. It's good to have numbers. When you have like 90% of businesses fail, there are only 20% of online content. You can add some emotions to it as well. Our children do not speak Arabic anymore. Our children are, forgetting about our culture. So you can have facts, so you can engage their left brain, work with the right brain as well. Have some emotions as well. That mom entrepreneurs, for example, they need support, they lose their identity, etc. So you talk about emotions as well. So here you talk about basically all the problems for which you're trying to solve the problem with. What is the solution? Then here you talk about your product. Here you mention why your product, like what you do, what is the solution that you are providing, what is your value proposition. You remember the value proposition from the business model canvas, right? Here where you are talking about why the solution that you're providing basically for this problem. You don't need to talk about the product in details. We have another slide about the product. Here you talk about the solution. So you don't need to talk about the features of your product. And here you just mention why, how you're providing that solution to address that problem. Is the solution clear? What I will do as well, if you go online and just Google pitch deck, for example, a lot of companies, they already have their pitch deck. For example, Airbnb. And you will see, like the brands that you already know, see how they have prepared their pitch deck. If you just say like pitch deck templates or pitch deck examples, you will get loads of pitch decks. And the more you study them, you get familiar with the design. They will look a lot more sophisticated than this. I have to mention that to you. So like they hire actually a designer to do the pitch deck for them. But don't worry about the design, just look at the content that they have. Most of them, they follow the same format. Sometimes you put the theme on the top, so like you might move the slides around. It's fine. Like it's just the most important thing is that to have all of these contents there. Here you're talking about the market opportunity. This is one of the most important slides for your investors, because they need to know what is your target market now, but also the opportunities that are out there. So if you get the money, you can actually, so here is usually how we address it. We talk about TAM, the total addressable market, SAM, the served available market, and your target market. So TAM is like the total possible demand for your product is like as big as it can get. For me, it's like all the entrepreneurs in the UAE. Let's say UAE initially is my market. All the entrepreneurs are TAM. Or another way of looking at it, all the women, all the moms have the potential of becoming an entrepreneur, right? So they are my TAM. SAM is the people that I can reach with my sales funnel. I can reach them. I cannot reach all the women in the UAE, but I can reach all of the members of Dubai Business Women Council. I can reach all of the members of Elevate. There are people who are in my sales funnel. I have the ability to reach them. These are the target market are the people that. This is all the women in the UAE. But I cannot, there's no way that I can reach all of them. Some of them I don't even know where to find them. But SAM is the people, if I go to nurseries, I can find the moms there. If I go to Marina groups on Facebook, I can see them there. So these are the people that I know. There are, let's say, like for example, 20% of these people I can reach with my existing sales funnel. My target market are the people that I am starting with. So I'm starting with, let's say, mom entrepreneurs who are members of this or that or that. So here is because as entrepreneurs, we have to make sure that our energy and time is really focused. If we want to attract everybody, we will not get anywhere. So what we do is that you focus on one target market. After we said, okay, we reached everybody here, let's start a new target audience. That's again one of the reasons that we talk about your customer segments, and I ask you to be as focused as you can on your BMC, because then you know that, for example, which target audience to start with initially, and all of your attention, money, and energy is focused on that group to start with. So you tell them what is the target market. SAM, they look at SAM because they know that after you reach this, you will go after this these people, the SAM. These are people you can reach, you just need more money and time to reach them. So this is one of the important slides that I want you to start working on, doing the market research, defining your TAM, defining your SAM, defining your target market. Share them with me. We have experts who are experts in market research, so if you have any questions, you can have one-on-one session with them, or you can ask your questions from them. Slide number 5 is the slide that where you actually talk about your product. So for example, if you already have an app, you put the screenshot of your app here. You tell them exactly how it works. If you have, for example, the videos, you put the pictures of your animation. The main products come here. If you have, for example, the restaurant, if you have a cafe concept, if you have any kind of a design, even if it's not out there yet, you put it here with all of the features. If you have an MVP, minimum viable product, you put it here. So here you talk about the product itself. The detailed description of your product. It can go in more than one slide. Yeah, it can go in more than, yeah. You don't want to, so don't use like 10 slides only for this. It can be more than one slide. That's not a problem. And how does it work? So you tell them actually how does the product work. Last time, for example, I had ladies, one of them has linen products. She actually brought the product with her. So even if you don't put the product, you have put the picture there, but I had a lady who has a candle, and she put the candle on the judges, and she gave actually one as a gift. She didn't win. So I'm not saying that if you give gift to the judges, you're going to win. But it's good so they can smell it, especially if it's a kind of a product. They can touch it, they can feel it. So if you go into an investor as well, you can actually take your product with you if you already have something. For you, for example, Marianne, if you have a website, if the design is ready but it's not live yet, you can just put the design. Business model is about how you actually make money. So if somebody asks you what's your business model, what they actually mean is that how do you make money? So here you put all of your revenue streams. We talked about it again at your business model canvas. All of your revenue streams, you basically list them here. And you can talk about your costs as well. So what are your main costs and what are your, how you make money basically. It's quite simple. It's very important for investors, for your partners, for the judges if you're doing competition to know that you already have existing partners. You already have existing clients. You already have testimonials. You receive feedback from people. So if there is anything that you can add here, if you have a client, like let's say you already signed a contract with Emirates MBD. Fantastic, they love that. Put that here. You already have a customer who gave you a testimonial. Put it here. So any kind of more of a reassurance gives you the credibility of, yes, you have these partners, customers already. Slide 8 is about your competition. Please don't say that you don't have competition. Please don't say that. Because if there is a problem out there, your audience is already doing something to solve that problem. It might not be your direct competitor, but they're already doing something. So whether it's a direct competitor or indirect competitor, I will show you 2 visuals that usually people use. Either they use a table. This is my favorite, personally, because here you feature all of the reasons that why you are different, all of the features basically, like user-friendly, privacy, anything for each of you is different. And then here you have either first yourself or like for them, they put themselves last. You put all of your competitors and they have some of the features, they don't have some of the features, you're the one who has all of the features. One of the best ways to show your competition. So you feature all of them. And there are different examples again online, but this is one of the simplest ways. Some people use this. You can. For me, this is more clear. But for example, you talk about different features and you say where your competitors are at each scale. Again, this is my favorite. Much easier. Like just find your competitors, find the features, why you are different. I think sometimes I see people who put competitors here who don't have any of the features. Don't put them, they're not your competitor. Like they're not having any of the features that you're providing. So they should have at least like 2 or 3 of the features already here, but you're the one who has all of them. Another way that Donia is when she shares, I know she does, which is also a nice way. I've never seen anybody else doing it, but when you see it, you will notice. So the way they show their competition is like they have the direct in one side and indirect in other sides. So again, these are the usual formats that people use, and investors are used to these, but if you want to be creative or use other formats, absolutely fine. Here you talk about your team, you talk about the name, you describe their role. If you don't have any co-founder, if you don't have anybody else, even advisors that you have, if you have a mentor, if you have a consultant who helps you. So this is one of the ways. You don't have to use this format, but I'm just showing it to you. And they have put the logo of the companies that each of them have worked before in that company. So like, for example, if you have different experiences, you've worked with different clients, you can put their logos down there. For the team, honestly, there is no particular format. Anything that features you and your team in the best possible way. This is just an example. Financials, your favorites. No, not much of an excitement here. Okay. I will show you an example of how they feature financials as well, because I don't want you to put all of the Excel here. On the finance session, we'll give you a template. It's a simple template, but I mean, it's too long. You cannot really put it here. For here, you just have a table, which I will share with you. You tell them when you break even, and what the year 1, year 2, year 3, for example, the projections.
I have one question. I think it was slide 6, business model.
Yeah. Here you mentioned, like, for example, when you break even. So that's just like to tell them basically.
Actually, I figured that maybe on the front you say when
you list them. Yeah, you list them. You don't need to have the numbers in the business model. You mention like how you make money. If you want to mention percentages in the other one, is fine. Like 20% of my revenue comes from this revenue stream, 80% come from this, 10% come from that. It's fine, but you don't need to show actual figures. Here is where you show actual figures. And this requires a proper homework. There are 2 slides that require proper homework. One is your market research, and one is your financials. Everything else about your product, your team, you know them. Your business model, how you make money, you know them. It's just like the matter of putting them in the right format. But you need to do proper homework for your financials and for your market research. For both of them, we have experts, and the best time to do it is during this course. So don't neglect them, please. The funding, again, is very easy. You tell them if you have gone through any kind of an investment. So if, for example, this is a Series A, you tell them we have already raised $200,000 and we are looking for $1 million. This is how we are going to, this is where you talk about this. We are willing to offer 20% on a valuation of $2 million. We are raising that much of money. Here you actually tell them how much money you are raising. For the sake of this class, I know that not all of you are looking for money. You can ask anything. I'm looking for a co-founder. I'm looking for contacts at Microsoft. I'm looking for a marketing agency, anything. So for the sake of this pitch deck on June 17th, feel free to ask for anything, but have an ask. That's one of the criteria for the judges. I haven't mentioned that to anybody before, but you need to have a proper ask. So we don't want entrepreneurs to come present and say, okay, nice to meet you. There's always something that you need, and we want you to be able to have that ask.
Sorry, one more question. It says investment today. If we haven't raised any investment, but we have a co-founder or we have family.
You can mention that. Yeah.
Actually mention that figure.
Mm-hmm.
It's not seed or.
Yes, you can. You can mention that. Yeah, for sure. Not here. Remember that pitch deck is like just making the investors interested. That is the only objective of your first pitch deck. That they're interested in the team, that they're interested in you, that they're interested in the idea. Later on, if they have any questions, They sit down with you for the second meeting and you discuss everything. But the purpose of this pitch deck is that to make them interested in you and your idea. You, I mean the team and your idea. There's a fear for some entrepreneurs that are starting out that what if somebody steals my idea? What if somebody, I don't want to share my financials? Like, it's okay to have those concerns at the beginning. I believe that the more the years pass and like you go to investors, you let go of all of those fears and concerns, but I understand that initially if you have them. So some people, they don't want to mention how much they invested or they want to share. It's fine. If you don't want to mention how much you've invested so far, for the sake of this presentation, it's up to you. But when you're doing a proper pitch deck, you need to have all of these ready. Slide 12, very simple. Your name, your email, your mobile, your website, so something. Again, one of the things that happens to a lot of entrepreneurs, remember that investors, sometimes they receive hundreds of pitch decks. If you don't have their details on the slide, they will not be able to find you, and they won't look for you, honestly. So make sure that you have your mobile, your email, everything on the last slide. Just because if it's in the signature of your email, doesn't mean that they know who they send it. Make sure you have it in this one as well. So that's all about the pitch deck. It's easy, right? 3 minutes to present all of that. Yes, it's possible. It makes you, honestly, like you go to the point. You don't just keep talking about it. You just talk about the main points. And it is possible. As I mentioned, we used to have this as a 7th session. It's the first time that we are doing it, session 2. And I think it's better because now you have time. You can schedule your one-on-ones. You have time to do your market research. You know exactly what is needed now for June 17th. You need to have your business model canvas ready. I'm very proud of all of you. Most of you have already sent me the first version of the BMC. And we'll keep changing that after each session. And pitch deck, similarly, you can start working on it. I would say that don't get into financials yet. Do that after finances, but there are a lot of other slides that you can start putting it together. Questions? No questions?
I think we will need, especially help when it comes to understanding the finances.
Yeah.
Because that's the part where, that we all have probably less experience in that part. Marketing, advertising, digital, consumers, market research, competitive benchmarking, that's all possible, and we can do it from our experience and from the resources we can access. But when it comes to finances and evaluation, that part and the break-even and all that, the forecast,
Yeah.
this is where we will need.
We have 2 sessions on finance, which we explain everything. And then between the 2 sessions, you actually have to do your homework. So we give you a template, but it depends on you to actually do the homework. And then you have one-on-one sessions as well. So you have that support basically to at least make the first templates that you need for your business in terms of like income statements, projections. Between the 2 weeks, we ask you to work only on 1 to 3 months. But when you learn the formula, then you can do it for 1 year or 3 years.
Are they going to be able to help us with the business plan?
With the entire business plan?
Like, will there be a contact that we can, call for the future?
Yeah.
Say, hey, we want to do a business plan with you guys. How much is going to cost?
One mistake that I did personally that I want to share with you in 2014, again, I put this course together because of all the mistakes that I did. And I want you to avoid. I paid a company to do my business plan. It was one of the biggest mistakes that I did because it's honestly not about, it's a proper business plan. Like I love it, it looks great. But the process of business plan is what is important, not the final product. Is you sitting down, putting your thoughts together and thinking about it. It's that thinking process, that brainstorming. Like, yes, I was sitting with the guy, I was telling him all of my ideas, but he was the one who was trying to make sense of it. And as much as it looks beautiful, it's something I never used. So although it will take more time, yeah.
I'm also going to say, if you go to an investor and they know that someone else has done your business plan, the first thing that I was told by
thoughts together.
hearts and minds into making this happen.
Honest, yeah. To be very honest, ladies, your business plan and your financials, the chances of you following them 100% are very, very low.
So why invest so much time in a business plan?
The one thing is that you will put everything, all of your thoughts into that paper. It's that thinking process which is important. Your financial is for you understanding how it works.
Financial, okay, but for me, the canvas replaces the business plan.
Not necessarily, like they complement each other. Business plan is more of a long term, like a 5 years. This is more of like, this is what I'm doing now. And in like a short term, in 6 months time, this is what I want to do. But business plan, you put together all of your thoughts. This is where I want to, this is my vision. This is where I want to take the business. So it's something that, yes, you write it once, but it's not just something to put in the drawer. It's really that journey of putting it all together which matters. So I personally, when I did it, I paid the company, it looks beautiful. That's not the purpose of business plan. And as Helen mentioned, even when investors look at that and they know that you didn't do it, it's...
You can tell them they designed it after, but if they know, and they'll know, because if they ask you questions and you don't have the answers, you're done. Game over. Seriously. Because I wanted to do that. I mean, I've done business plans and all of that for other people. So I thought, fine, I might as well have someone do it for me. Have it awesome, And he just looked at me like I was the craziest person. Like, what are you talking about? Who are you?
Well, it's more about the experience.
And that's exactly what I'm going to say.
Experience.
It's the process
Yeah.
that you go through to actually put it together, and that's what they care about. They don't care about how it looks. Again, get a designer to do it at the end, fine.
Yeah.
But if you're not involved in the process, exactly what I'm saying. That's the key.
If I may add, the idea is to reflect your vision into the
Into the
business
vision.
plan. So if they don't feel that your vision is there, then the gap, I think, will be. But I totally agree with you. It's very difficult to put in place. And I used to be a banker for many years, and but when I'm doing this for myself, it's not easy. That's why I'm here for this course, because it'll make me think about.
You're so on time.
On the dot. I couldn't have done it better. How are you?
Very good, and you? Dunya, we talked about her already. Have a seat.
I used to actually business plans for people, like really, like it's second nature. And then when it comes to mine,
Yeah.
I was like, I want someone else to do it for me because I was stuck. And then I thought, what better way, just pay someone.
Yeah, for me also, I was planning to go through the whole fundraising in 2014, which I decided not to for various reasons. But like I said, okay, let me have a proper business plan. It looks beautiful, but then also I realized that it's not just about that final document. It was about me sitting down and doing it on my own. And there are different templates. So if you look at like business plan template, download it. So they have all the titles. So you know exactly like what you have to put in the business plan. But even if the English is like one of my things, like how do we word it so it sounds better? Doesn't matter. Honestly, doesn't matter. Any kind of a language, anything, as long as you have your thoughts there, that's what matters. Awesome. We have Dunya here from Mr. Usta. And let's take a short 10-minute break, and we can also mingle with Dunya, get to know her better. But if you want to introduce yourself. Yeah. Come.
So I'm the co-founder of a company called Mr. Usta. I think you guys can hear me.
Yeah, it's just recording.
Yeah, sure. So I'm the co-founder of a company called Mr. Usta. Mr. Usta is basically an online platform to help you find service providers. So if you're looking for painters, plumbers, mechanics, etc., you come to our platform and we help you get quotes from great guys, and you can choose. Yay! You're smiling. That's a good sign. Wow! Wow! And you guys are still smiling? Good.
Awesome.
You guys got what you needed? Happy to hear that. Really happy.
I had like 3 offers.
Awesome. Was it painting or moving?
No, it was fixing my oven
Okay.
and painting
Okay.
of a part of the wall.
Awesome.
But both of them,
Cool. Really glad. So we help people. There we go. And we actually launched in 2014, so we've been around now for almost just over 3 years. Yeah. Yeah. That's
And you
us.
have done the do you want to mention about the fundraising?
Yeah,
Which
so
series?
we initially started, when I said 2014, we bootstrapped, so we used our own money as founders. We're 4 co-founders. And then in August 2015, we did a seed fund. We raised $350,000. And then last year, we did a pre-series A, and we raised $750,000. So we've done 2 rounds of investment so far, and we're going for the 3rd end of this year, inshallah khair. But yeah, so it seems to be part of our job to raise funds, which we'll talk about it. It's an entrepreneur's typical role, really, to keep raising funds.
Now you understand the language, right? The bootstrapping, the seed funding, the Series A.
And investors love it when you use those words, huh? Do use them. I pivoted, I bootstrapped, yeah.
Now we know the language. Awesome.
Cool.
Lovely to have you, Donia.
Right, thanks.
Let's have a 10-minute break, and then we will
Yep.
have Donia's presentation.
So sweet. You're the inspiration one. All right, ladies. So as I said, I don't need to introduce myself again. I'm the co-founder of Mr. Usta. I'll talk to you guys about your experiences later. I spoke to Helen. So basically, I wanted to just take a step back and talk about the basics of investment. Like, why would people invest, right? And it's really important to know that not every business needs to have investment. I believe Muna never raised funds, correct? And she doesn't need to, because her type of business is not a business that she wants to scale into different countries. It's a business where she can operate from where she is and reach different countries with the current funding. She did not need more funds, correct?
It's not about a lot of funds. And one thing, thanks to mention that I do pitch for competitions. The best way to do my marketing, the best way to get feedback. So I have my pitch deck, I pitch at competitions. We won a couple of times, couple of $1,000, which is always good to have. We win awards, but the best thing is marketing. A lot of exposure, a lot of feedback.
So there are companies, like for example, if you're, like in our case, Mr. Usta, we want to expand into all over the GCC, we want to expand all over the Middle East. We want to reach every customer in the UAE, and the UAE is a huge market on its own, let alone adding the other countries. We can't do it on our own, so we reach for investment. If you're a company that does not require that expansion, or if you're happy, and there's no right or wrong, if you're happy with, like, let's say, a restaurant that's doing well and paying for itself, and that's your ultimate goal, or that's your ambition, then you don't need to reach for investment. So now every company needs to invest, but every company needs to be able to pitch. Like Mona said, whether it's for marketing value and creating awareness within the network, within competitions, or whether it's just pitching for different kind of activities, because you could earn money from pitching, and you could also actually get partnerships and get more exposure. So it's really important to know how to pitch. It's not necessary that you need the money for it, right? So one of the other things is, when I want to raise funds, I need to know how much my company's worth. Because the whole concept of raising funding is, I'm going to give you equity for the money you give me. But how much equity will I give you is based on how much my company is worth. So when like I mentioned to you guys, we did a seed funding. And at seed funding, it's a very different discussion to Series A, B, and C. Because at seed funding, there's a lot of my fingers up in the air. I'm just kind of guessing, right? There's a lot of guesstimates, let's say. So for us, it was trying to figure out how much our company is worth. And we looked at a lot of internet sites, we spoke to a lot of professionals, and we kind of narrowed it down to, the company had 4 co-founders. That's at least $500,000, because the 4 of us worked in corporate for at least 10 years each. We bring in a lot of experience, we have the ability to grow. So that's worth, for example, $500,000. And then we looked at the fact that we developed the product in-house, we have the IT with us, one of the co-founders is a developer, that's, for example, worth another $500,000. And then we looked at the potential of the market, that's, for example, worth another $500,000. So whatever number we came up with, it was our starting point. It doesn't mean that every investor is going to agree with you. It just means that you have to go at a starting point and say, this is how much I think my company's worth, right? So we started at 1.5 at our seed fund. We valued our company at $1.5 million. Now there.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but do you have to justify that? Do you have to explain the
Yes.
based on
Yes, like you can just say, we've got the product in-house, we're doing it ourselves, look at who we are, and I'll run you through my pitch deck of our pre-series. Who we are is very important, because a lot of the investors are actually investing in you. And I mean, we just had this discussion earlier, they're not really investing in the idea, not just the idea, that's 10% of their decision. The majority of their decision is based on who you are, your ability to execute that idea, based on what the market needs. So everybody can come up with an idea. There's a lot of us that take similar ideas that are done somewhere else in the world and localize them, but it's about your ability to do it. So the team is essential, especially at seed funding, because that's what he's putting. He's putting the money in you, he or she, literally you, nothing else, right? It's not like a brick and mortar where you've got this, I mean, it could be, but the reality is it's you that they're putting the money in. So you tell them, this is who I am, this is my background, this is my CV. Sharing your CVs with investors is important. Check your LinkedIn profile, check that it shows what you've done as well, because they'll ask about you, they'll read up about you. Our investor even asked for a referral letter for character from people we know. He's giving you money that you're putting in your bank account, right? Like in the company's bank account. There needs to be some form of, like you've met a stranger sometimes. Like I meet you, 3 weeks later, I'm going to give you $1 million. I need to, I need some kind of reassurances that you're legitimate, you know what I mean? So that's where you come in, and then you tell them, for example, I have the IT in-house, look at what we've done so far. Look at the potential of from the company, potential for us to grow. So that's how we came up with that valuation. Now they're going to counter back and say, actually, I don't think you're worth more than that. I think the company is only worth that much because of ABC. And that's when you start negotiating. Because he's going to come put 10,000, 100,000, 200,000, and he's going to get shares back, equity. So it's just based on the number you agree on, then you start discussing how much you're going to give him. Or he'll come and say, you know what, I want 50% of your company from the get-go, and I'll only give you 100,000. That means the company is worth 200,000. And you go like, no, I don't believe in that. And I'll talk you through our first seed funding, because it was a very different approach when we did seed funding versus when we did pre-series A, like the series. Like a completely different story because we had a different product then. But I just wanted to run you through these basics.
Is valuation now clear? We discussed the valuation the way Dunya also. So they didn't hire an agency, etc. They had 3 criteria and they put the valuation as 1.5.
You can hire an agency if you want to.
But like you did, you don't have to.
We don't have to. Now, there are some investors that said, that's what you said, but can we bring a third party to verify it? I mean, we didn't end up carrying on with them for other reasons, but had they wanted a third party and we were really keen, we would have gone a third party to value it. Now be careful, Silicon Valley, like if you're reading websites from Silicon Valley, we would have probably been valued at 5 million at the get-go, because there's a very different approach to how valuation is done in the States versus in the Middle East. There's still they're very risk averse here still. They'll bring you down as much as they can because they're not comfortable yet. The market is not mature enough. And there's still real estate, which gives them more money. So there's always that mentality. So for example, if you go to the States, just by stepping in and saying, I have an idea, you get 5 million valuation, which is why you hear crazy numbers going there. And fair enough, there's a mass there as well. But just keep that in mind. If you're reading a lot of American websites, don't be disheartened when you come to do your own valuation, because it's going to slightly kind of hit you. Now, yes, you're trading for money, you're trading equity for money, but there's different things you can pitch for. As Mona mentioned, the marketing part, but you can also, for example, the likes of Schwery Group, or what's that big agency, out of my mind, the one in Media City. Not Leo Burnett. Yeah, like they do. They cover all the marketing guys. Omnicom, thank you. Omnicom. Omnicom. So basically, you can go to Omnicom or Schwerer Group and say, if you come in, I'll give you 10%, but you will give me free billboards, free TV time, free. You can do that as well. That could be also your approach. Because with these guys, they have clients that are paying, but they always have time that is not paid for. So they'll happily promote the business they've invested in order to make them grow. So that could be also a trade-off. It doesn't have to be pure cash. It's just like you need to center yourself properly and know what you need as a company and trade that for equity. Now, the other part is, when do you raise funds and why do you raise funds? You never raise funds when you need them. This feels really stupid and silly to say, but you always raise funds at least 6 months before you need the money. If you go to an investor and say, I need money right now and I need you in the next month, nobody's going to put the money in. One, you don't know how to control your finances. You have no way, you don't know how to run a business, because you don't project properly, because, hey, you ran out of money already. Two, you are more desperate. This is going to sound really lame, but when you're single, you're less likely to get a date. When you're married, you're more likely to get hit on. It's the same concept, right? It's exactly the same concept. When you don't need money, that's when money comes to you. When you need money... So always be careful with that. Depending on where you are in fundraising, if it's your first fund, it could take up to a year, potentially, but allow a minimum of 6 months. So if you're projecting and you know that in 6 months you're going to run out of money, you should be already in the market looking for investment. So that's part of the when. The what
Is that how long it might take?
could take longer. It could take long, especially at the beginning. Now, it's different when you're like, when you've established and you've raised the first fund, it's very different because sometimes your original investors will reinvest or someone's already waiting for you to reach a certain point. That's easy. The initial fund is very difficult because you're nobody, you're not known. You still haven't established your name. You could get lucky and raise in 2 months, great. Why not? You can raise, put the money in and project it longer. There's no harm done. But it's really difficult if you give yourself only 2 months and you don't raise the funds. Some negotiations alone, even if he's the right investor, can take up to 4 months, just the negotiation. So keep that in mind. Like you don't want to be running very close to your money ending.
Now, you say if you want to expand, what if you start your business in 2 countries? I mean, you're already expanding, and that means you need to go in with investors, right?
But is there a reason you want to start in 2 countries? Like the launch?
Well, yeah, in my case, I already have the established company, the name is
Okay.
already in the US.
All right. So you're not paying to establish that, right?
No,
That's already done.
already
So that's less of a money that you need, right? So it's just about, if I want to at the get-go put Mr. Usta in Saudi and UAE, I definitely need an investment to start with. But at that point, I'm going to ask someone to come and put in 0. Like my equity is so low because I haven't done anything, my valuation. I'd better off do UAE, grow in my valuation, then ask for the funding. Because the less I can give them, the better. The more I can keep, the better, ideally. Simply because when I go for the next round and the next round, because like for us, we're an IT, we're a tech company, we're an online service, we will always be raising funds. That's the reality of it. We probably will stop raising funds when we exit or when we reach to Series D, potentially, because we always want to expand. So the more I can increase the value of my company before the next fund, the better. So in that case, if you already have the money there, you already have the establishment there, you don't need to invest in it, it's a little bit different. Like you're partnering with that company, you're bringing in, that's part of the money you already have. It's your own money that you're bringing in. But if you want to scale, that's the point where you potentially need an investor. The other thing I was mentioning to you guys just earlier is, it's great for me to put my own money in my business, brilliant, because it means I believe in myself and I'm willing to take a risk. But to the outsiders, having a stranger believe in you and put money in your business is also great. So sometimes politically, it just sounds better. This complete stranger believed in me and gave me $500,000. Because then you'll be like, if she gave her, maybe there's something in it. It's your typical example. And a company can tell you great things about their product, you won't believe them. Once your friend buys it, you're like, I wonder what that is, right? I came here, told you about Mr. Usta. When you 3 raised your hands, I bet the rest were like, this is not a bad product. Look, 3 people are using it. I could have talked about it for 10 hours. You'd be like, yeah, it's her company, right? So just look at it from that point of view also. It's always great to have that. If you need a bit of money, you're able to bring in someone. If they have a great name, if you have someone big invest in you, potentially that helps you as a brand as well. Now, how much to raise is very tricky. Never raise too much, never raise too little. Again, it goes back to, I need to raise just enough money to get me from point A to B. If I'm going to raise more, I'm going to end up giving more equity. If I'm going to raise less, I'm not going to get to point B and my valuation will still be low. So my next round, I'll look less. So you have to like measure your projections and count it and go like, I need $100,000 in order to increase my valuation from 1 million to 4 million. So let me raise 100,000. If I raise 150, I'll give you as an investor more and I'll still just get to 4 million. So why should I? But if I only take 80, I won't make it. And then I'll raise again at 2 million and I've just lost more equity. So it's like a balancing ball, like not too much, not too little, just enough to get you to the next phase. Obviously with a little bit of like, you know, because things happen, Ramadan hits and everybody stops selling and you know, you got to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room. The first people you approach is what we call the FFF, your friends, family and fools. Friends and family, that's by default their job. They have no choice. They have to invest in you. Otherwise, it's a problem. Or you're gonna rethink about it if they can, obviously. And the other ones are fools. And it's not an insult to them, but these are the dreamers that believe in your idea and are happy to give you a bit of cash just to get you to do it. They're not like seasoned investors that really understand it. They just want to help you. That's why we call them fools. That's not because they're silly or stupid. No, it's just to show that they're happy to push. And then the next phase, you'd go into your angel investors. Those are the guys that have money, understand investment. Some of them have established in other businesses. Some of them are board members in a lot of companies. And then the third phase is your venture capitalists, your VCs. Try not to approach the VCs until you're in a point where you're big enough, because the VCs, in fairness, it's their job, are like sharks. They want to make the most out of it, and that's their job. That's how they make money. So while angels will come and roll up their sleeves and help you, VCs will only take you on board if you're the right kind of business for their portfolio, if you're going to make them look good, if you're going to reflect well on them. Angels are more willing to take a risk with you. Angels have smaller sums, like they'll give 150, while VCs can give to, like their ticket items could be up to $1 million each. So it's just what, if you're only raising $200, don't approach a VC. If your valuation is under 4, try not to approach a VC as well. Because they want to take you at 4 and make you 100, but they're going to take half your company at the get-go, right? And they're going to potentially change things in it, which is fine if you've already established and you need them and they can push you. But try not to approach VCs right at the beginning. That's my biggest advice, because they'll hurt you.
Just jump in here because I forgot to tell you the difference between angel investors and VCs is actually in the chart that I gave you. I usually cover it in there. But just one big main difference, if you have any question, you can answer later. One main difference is that angel investors, they invest from their own money. So it's like a wealthy person, I have $100,000 on a side, which I put whether I want to support or I look at it as an investment opportunity. They're called angels because it's their own money. VCs are actually corporations. They have to do fundraising just like you. So VCs, that's the main difference. With an angel investor, the final decision maker is her own money that she's like his own money. And we have different angel investors. Lorena, Wayne are just two to mention, and there's several VCs as well. Again, any of you want more? If you have questions, let me know later on. I can give you the list of angel investors and VCs.
Which is why VCs are a bit trickier, because it's not their own money. They have to prove it to their investors too. So you got to look into that. So what I wanted to now cover is just the basics of what to do in a deck. And I've been asked that quite a bit, because what do you put in a pitch? The most important thing you do is you have to show what the problem is. If you make the investor or whoever you're pitching to believe that there's a problem, they're more likely to listen to you. They need to relate to the problem. I might, if we have time, play a little video we did at the beginning when we were raising funds. We had like a 1.5-minute investment video. And the first thing I did was, if you have a water leakage at home, who are you going to call? And everyone goes like, yeah, I could have a water leakage at home. If you're looking for quality service providers, where are you going to go? And everybody that I would pitch to go like, hey, this makes sense. Hold on, I may have a water leakage at home. Who do I call? Do you go on Google? Yeah, I go on Google. Do you call a friend? Yeah, I could call a friend. Instantly, I've related to them, and I've showed them a problem. So the next thing I'm going to say, I've got their attention already. If you're saying, for example, if you're pitching mompreneurs, are you a mother that's struggling to get back in the business world? Yeah, I'm a mother that's... Instantly, I got your potential. I got your attention, sorry. So it's just about raising what the problem is and try to cater it to your audience. If I am pitching mompreneurs to men, are you a mother struggling to get into the business? It's just not going to work, right? Do you want to support mothers to get back? You just have to phrase it differently so the problem relates to who you're pitching to. And then you instantly come up with a solution. You have a water leakage at home, you're struggling to find a service provider. I'm a platform that gives you service providers. And they're great, and I've checked them out for you. You know, I've just like instantly gone back with how do I solve the solution? And then, why me? I've been in the market for the last 3 years, and I've done this and that. How? You come on my platform, I've got a list of service providers, you can put your job, they get back to you, they've got ratings from different customers. That's when I start describing the product. But it's always, what's the problem, what's the solution, how are you solving it, and why you? How big is the market? Is there potential in the market? Do people need service providers in the UAE, or is it just 5 people a day? Are you doing a business that's really needed? Have you done your research? Show me the proof of the research, right? What's your competition? That's a big question. You need to really understand your competition inside out. Even if you've got a product that's wide, and for example, for us, we don't just do cleaning. We do cleaning, maintenance, mechanics, electronics, etc. There's a lot of cleaning companies, cleaning platforms in the UAE. Helpling, Matic, they do cleaning only. I need to know what they do. Even though they're not really my direct competitor, because I've got a range of products, but I need to understand where they compete with me, what do they do? Knowing your competition is essential as well. And then you look at, like I said, the market size, you look at what you're projecting as numbers. How much am I making per job, per customer request? How many requests am I getting per month? How many do you think I will get in 2 years or in 2 months? What's the potential of my growth? How much money can I make potentially? This is all potential, right? Especially at seed funding, it's all a guesstimate, like I said, a lot of that. And then you look at, have I launched, we were discussing this earlier, have I had a paying customer? What's their feedback? So on our platform, people are rating. They're rating service providers, but they're also rating us. We have a lot of great feedback. And I'll show you in our pitch deck, we've got coverage in media, etc. We show that to investors. Like, look, guys, we're not the only ones that are talking about our brand. There are others talking about our brand. And that's really important. And then you talk about exactly how much money you want. That has to be in your pitch deck. Or if you're looking for a partner, if you're pitching for a partner, I am looking for a partner. I need a co-founder. I need a business partnership. I need $500,000. You need to put that in your deck. Be clear, be to the point. If you can, how much am I giving back for that? Obviously, it's negotiable, but you could be, I need $100,000 and I'm going to give 5% of my company. You can put that in the deck as well. You should, potentially. What will I do with that 100,000 is also important. You know, they need to know where the money is going to go, so you show them that. These are the basics of a pitch deck, and I know you've got the canvas that you run through it, but those are the basics that I'd advise on. So if we go now to Mr. Usta specifically, like I mentioned, we did a seed fund in 2015. We raised $350,000. That was completely a whole bunch of guesswork, because in reality, we changed a lot in the business since we got that funding. But the point of that funding was, before that, we had a product. We spent a year talking to service providers. We knew they wanted it. We changed things in the product as they gave us feedback to make it better for them. And then we had customers use it on our platform, and we had a brand name. And then we went for seed funding. So we had all that backing us up, and we showed it to the investors. That seed funding round took 8 months. It took us 8 months. Doesn't mean it's going to take you guys 8 months, but it was a lot of work. Now, we were still bootstrapping, so we were able to sustain and maintain, but we weren't growing much. It was just keeping us a status quo until we get the investment. The reason it took 8 months, we negotiated a lot with investors. We had 4 very strong investors that came in month 2 that negotiated with us for 6 months. We did not sign with any of them. Our last investor came within 4 months. With 4 weeks, we'd signed off the whole deal. You never know. There's a lot of time wasters there. Unfortunately, there's a lot of time wasters there. You need to understand your value as well. There needs to be a level of arrogance, not too much. You don't want to push the investors away, but you need to understand your value. We were raising $200,000 to $300,000. We spoke to 2 investors, angel investors, that were going to put their own money. After the 6th chat, even though we had it clear we needed $200,000 and we will not give up more than X amount of the company, after the 6th chat, they come back and say, we'll give you $30,000. And we're like, but we've told you from the beginning and you've understood that. And they kept telling us how they'll bring in all their family and friends, how they're very keen, and maybe they'll go over 200,000. 6 meetings later, they come up with 30. It was so disheartening that I remember I just closed the laptop and I just put my, sat back in the seat. I'm like, I'm not even gonna have this conversation anymore. It was such a waste of our time. And I mean, it's not the right way to approach it from their point of view, but you will come across these angel investors. It's unfortunate. Ask around. If you start negotiating with an investor, ask anybody. Has anybody worked with them? Who have they invested in? Try to get some information about them. One, how to get their interest. Like, what are the right words to use with that particular person? But also, are they legitimate? Are they going to just play around? Because unfortunately, if you're desperate for money, you would take the 30,000, right? If you're at that point where you've run out of cash and you need it, you could take it, and that potentially could drop your entire business down. So just be careful on how you do it. Like I said, we struggled, but in the end, it was like, we got the right guy, perfect guy. He rolled the sleeves. He works with us. He's a board member with us. He's on board. He's great. Alhamdulillah, I don't know how it happened, but it happened. It happens. Like, what is it? My mom used to always say, after so many no's, you get a yes. So the more no's you get, you're like, great, there's another yes. The yes is getting closer, right? So let's keep that in mind. So we did that in 2015, and we used that to rebrand. We kept the same brand name, but we didn't like our logo. You've seen our old logo. Our logo is cute. It wasn't very professional. So we rebranded. We used that $350,000. In fairness, part of that money was our own. So what we did is we went to angel investors for a seed fund, and we said, if you put in, we will also put in. But I will not put in my money until you come on board. So we put in 50,000 of our own. They put in 300. And the fundraising was 350, but it was also our money. So it gave confidence to the angel investors that we're willing to reinvest, but we just wanted to make it louder. We didn't want to just put it as a bootstrap. We wanted to make it part of the investment round. We rebranded the products. We made that cool logo. We branded our entire world. It was really good. We went to a guy that used to brand for Dolce & Gabbana and sitting in Sweden board, very interesting character, but he redid our brand and everything. And then we cleaned the product. Like, there was a lot of slack. Being from an IT technical background, our co-founder cleaned it. It became a very good product, very reliable. Touch wood, our app has less than 0.2% failure rate, which is unheard of on Apple and Android. So we really cleaned the product, and then we started marketing. That was the point of our seed fund. Start to get more customers, start getting paid. Because before that, before seed funding, we weren't creating revenue. We were just creating a platform, like Facebook worked at the beginning for free. We wanted to do that, and then after that, we started generating revenue. So we closed the fund, we achieved our targets, and then we're like, okay, now we're ready for the next round. So what I'll show you is our pitch for the pre-Series A. So it wasn't our seed fund. This is after us getting the 350,000 a year later, after we started making money, and then we re-pitched again as a more professional company, right? So the first thing we do is we introduce the product. Who are we? This is our product. We're online and we're on the app. We're an online marketplace to help customers find service providers in the UAE. We're based on ratings, so you know what the service providers are like, and we do the work for you. They will run after you. You don't have to now call up a million guys and run a piece of paper and figure out who's going to do what. We just make life easier for you. Our logo is better services for a better life. We're trying to make people's life easier. So we here project the problem. It's very time consuming to find service providers. You have to call around. Like again, I'm starting to pitch to the whole idea of it's really tough to find a service provider. Obviously, I try to make it more doom and gloom than it is because I want you to really, really, really believe in my product, right? So I'm telling you how bad it is, how the information is inaccurate, how when you click on links on Google, they don't work, and try to really make it sound horrible. And that's how you do it. That's identifying the problem, right? And then like, you know, how you shortlist, etc. And then you go like, but this is how I make it easier. Look, it's 1, 2, 3, 3 easy steps. You post a job, you receive offers, you hire. Simple. Everybody knows my product in 2 seconds. So I'm explaining how do I solve a solution and why is it easy with me. And I talk about the ratings as well. And then we talked about the competition. This is who we are. There's different types of competition. This is a slightly older slide. So all 3 guys rebranded. It's quite funny. So these guys became Helpit, these guys Service Market, these guys went off the market. But it's really awesome because every time we present this deck, there's always one guy that the next time we present it, they're out of the market, which means it's not everybody's game. And we talk about that. Like I'll tell them, you know, you heard of SwiftFix? They're out. They couldn't do it. It's not easy to do this. We do it right. Have you heard of Trust My Trader? They did the same thing. They only lasted 6 months and then got out. So it's good to show it. Really know your competition, like I mentioned. What makes us different? What makes us stand out? He only does, like Jim, he fixes himself, right? So he's one of our customers. He's one of our ustas, so to speak, because he's not a direct competitor. It's his own staff. We are like a dating site, right? We connect you to people. Jim will fix it, Hitches and Glitches, all these guys, there are service providers too. Actually, Jim will fix it, left our platform, came back, left our platform, came quite a few times, but that's a different story. So what makes us different, what makes us stand out? Always pull up the biggest things you can push about your product and make sure nobody else does them. So if you say, I'm the only one that does this for you, and you've tried my competitor and they do the same, you don't believe in me anymore. Don't lie here. Do not sugarcoat this slide, right? You have to really have your own product. And then next we did is we started showing the potential of the market in the GCC. How many SMEs are there? How many SMEs are making money? What's the potential of all the countries in the area? Where do we want to go? What's the potential of the money you can make if you are Mr. Usta? So how many people use the internet as well in terms of customers? So what we show here is, you know, the trend of food delivery, the trend of the Ubers and Careems. Everybody started doing those online. I remember 4 years ago, I had a stack of delivery menus. Like, you know, every time you wanted to order food, you go through the delivery menus, try to figure out what to order. And I do recall, and I kid you not, I opened it 3 years ago and I installed all the apps and I went dump in the rubbish bin. I was done. That's it. Like everything was online. And it just shows the potential of things online. So now we're also pushing you to do your services online, right? I related, you all instantly realized, yeah, we had food menus. I clicked with you, you got the message. Now we're doing it online. Uber's online, cabs are online. You do everything online. You hire hotels online. Why not get a service provider online? And that's potential of the market. Potential of the growth of the SMEs in the market, right? And then this is the slide where I'm telling you we got feedback from customers. Whether it's the news, whether it's actual, these are actual customer feedbacks, not embellished by us. And then this is actual media coverage that we've had. The also good thing, like one of the advantages we had is when we launched our store in the Apple, when we launched our app in the Apple store, Apple promoted it themselves. They liked it so much. We worked closely with them as we were developing it. They liked it so much, they actually, this is all for free. best of April last year, Mr. Usta, and then they pushed us here, I think it was in May, if I'm not mistaken. So they, yeah, I mean, that's a huge deal. Apple is the toughest, like, it gets you to, like, anybody can get, it takes you seconds to do an Android app. It takes you forever to do an Apple app. They're very picky. So for them to do that, thank you, Helen, for them to do that is a big deal. And it helped us. It helped us a lot. Like it gave us, you know, you're opening your local store and telling you, Mr. Usta, it's the best of April, right? That helped us last year. And we obviously want to show this to investors because if Helen can get goosebumps, if she has money, she'll give us right now, right? Right now, you would have opened your wallet, right? There you go. But I mean, there's potential here, right? Play on the things that work for you. The other thing we said is, now that we've explained to you from a customer's point of view, you're all customers, why you need service, why you need Mr. Usta, I will explain to you from a Usta's point of view, because you could be Ustas. You're going to do a training platform, you could be my Usta as well, right? So now I'm going to explain to you from the other point of view, because these guys are my actual customers. They're the ones that pay me. So I tell you how they currently find jobs. The guys in Karama that fix cars, for example, the guys in the areas that do car fixing, how do they get their customers? Word of mouth. Do you think they do any marketing? If customers are looking for them online, how will they find them? So I'm helping them grow. Potentially, I am really helping the small guys really grow. And we are, jokes aside, we really are helping those underdogs that cannot compete with the guy that does curtains versus Sidar. You know about Sidar. Everybody knows about Sidar. But you can get similar quality from a guy that works in a little shop and he will come do it happily in the middle of the night for a quarter of the price. How can you find him sitting here? You can't. So you come to our platform. How can he grow? So now I'm showing it from another point of view, right? They've always struggled. They have language barriers. They don't know how to go online. Those poor guys have all, and it's really interesting, invested to get a website up and running. They don't even know they need to pay for hosting. So after a year, all the websites go 404 not found because they don't know they have to pay for hosting. And someone's lied to them, joked around, made them pay for the website, and the money's gone because they don't know how to be found. So I'm telling them, I will be your online guy. I will get you the leads. I will help you. That shows a lot of potential because some of the investors have their own Usta companies they've also invested in. So it's good to show them that. And then now, again, remember the slide? I did a similar slide for customers. Post a job, hire, close. I'm doing it from the Ustas. We call them Ustas. Receive leads, send offers, get hired. It's simple. They sit, they get a text, they get a ping, they get an email, whichever they've chosen. There's a job waiting for you. They go check it out. They send you a pitch. They send you their prices, and you hire them. Simple. They don't even have to do anything, right? So I'm showing that point of view. And then, how do I connect the two? How do I make money? What's my revenue model? This is important. Now, it's changed a little bit, but what we used to do is we used to get paid per lead. So if you're a service provider, for every lead I generate for you, you pay me. So I'm explaining it here to the investors. If you are a cleaner and Muna posts a job for cleaners, in order for you to reply back to Muna, you pay me 5 dirhams. Whether you and Muna decide or not, your decision, but I've created a lead for you. Similar to posting an ad on Google and getting clicks. But you could have clicked on 100 ads and never done anything. But this time, I'm actually bringing a potential customer. Muna really wants a cleaner. She's telling me she lives in an apartment. Obviously, I won't share Muna's details with you, but I'll tell you there's a woman, maybe first name Muna, living in business space. She wants to clean her office. It's legitimate, right? It's not like Muna clicked on an ad. So it's a hotter lead. We call them hot leads. So you pay me for that lead. That's how we do it.
Just a question. So basically, you have all of these service providers. Do they go through any trainings, or because we want to know if they are qualified, so to come to our house and do the service, or it could be any.
So we have a Usta relationship team, URMs, Usta relationship managers. Every service provider that comes on our platform, we check them out. We ask for their trade license. We verify they exist. We sometimes ask to call their older customers if we feel a bit like, who did you do a service for today? Can we give them a call? Let's say 5 out of 10 we visit them. It just depends. Some service providers approach us and we know they're real. Like, you know, when Jim Will Fix It approaches me, I don't go like, tell me your last. I'm a little bit more comfortable with Jim Will Fix It. But someone else, I might actually go visit them. Our guys will visit them. The first time they will send you an offer, we will have called them for it. So let's say I've got a new cleaner on board and they cover Business Bay, and Muna put a job to clean an office in Business Bay. Before I make her job live, if I know I have a new guy, I'll give him a call and go like, listen, I'm about to send out a job. Why don't you put an offer for it? I would recommend you write the offer this way, right? So we help train them the first couple of times, and the first time they get the job, we call them like, congrats, you got the job, really happy for you. How can we help you further? It's also about training them. Once they're comfortable, we don't touch them anymore, that's it. But we would have, like trade licenses, we would have checked them out. And then we have a policy, if they've gotten 3 complaints, within 2 months, they're off the platform. We actually deactivate them. So we've actually had situations where ustas have been deactivated, they've called back, they've come to the office, begged us to go back on the platform. So we go like, we'll bring you back, but if you ever send an offer badly, we'll take you off again, those kind of things. Because the problem, one of our competitors, in a way, is Dubizzle, right? Because you can go into Dubizzle, go into the services, and if you want a plumber, you'll find, I am a plumber, call me. Now, you don't know who this guy is, right? You could be comfortable picking up the phone, calling him. He may come and do a great job. But what if he ruins something and leaves? How are you going to follow up on him? And one of my pain points on Mr. Usta, and I say this in a lot of pitching, not while I'm pitching, but if I get asked, is I needed to move curtains from one apartment to the other. And this is a true story, no jokes. This is before my husband, who then was my friend / boyfriend, approached me with the idea. It was way before that. I wanted to move from apartment A to apartment B. I had my curtains. I was like, you know, I'm going to do this right. I opened up an Excel sheet and I started calling. I'd write the guy's name and how much they're going to cost. Guy's name, how much they're going to cost. Number 3 or number 4 said, I'll come for a free coat. I said, come. So I'm in my new apartment, completely empty. I don't even know the security guy because I've just moved. And I'm with this curtain guy and he's taking measurements. And he gives me a price and I'm like, no, it's too much, thank you. He goes like, you have to pay. And I said, no, you said free coat. He's like, no, you have to pay. I came all the way from Karama. I paid for taxi, and he started yelling at me. And I'm like, but you said free coat. And I remember at that moment, I'm like, how do I even complain about him? Where do I go? How is this right? I don't even remember where I got his number from. I don't know if it was a friend or Google or whatever. I was so angry. I mean, in the end, I started approaching the front door, opened the door of the apartment. I'm like, no, I'm not paying you. Started yelling at him. And then eventually he left. But one, it was extremely uncomfortable. It could have gone really bad. 2, I was so pissed off because we women, we love to complain and vent, right? I was so pissed off at that point. I'm like, I want to write about him. Like, who do I tweet? Like, you know, when you get pissed off at brands, you want to tweet about them. Like, what do I tweet about this guy? Weird guy comes in an apartment, yells at me. Like, good for me, right? So that was like when Brahim approached me and said, listen, why don't we do this? I'm like, great, because you need to complain. Sometimes it's not the owner's fault. It's one of his staff members that are doing something wrong. So some of our ustas love our platform because they figured out the quality of their staff members. When he sends this guy, more people complain. When he sends this guy, less people complain, right? So this was like a way to show it. I don't want to talk too much about business, but being able to say that to investors, like, I'm going to walk out of here, all of you guys are going to be like, no, they've got the right ustas, you know, like just gaining the confidence of the person you're pitching your idea to. These stories, these personal things make a big difference. And it's a genuinely true story. I finally moved my curtains. They're all okay. Everything's fine, but it took a while. Yeah, so this is like just showing how we make money. That's a big thing for investors. This is what we did at the time, right? If an investor is interested in the idea but did not agree with this, it is open for discussion, especially if you're at the seed fund. If you say, BizWorld, I make money from the kids that come in to do the entrepreneurship course. The parents are paying for me. The parents are paying X amount. I may come and tell you, you know what, that's too little. Potentially you can make that much more because you could add this to your course. That's fine, but I still believe in her idea. It doesn't mean that as an investor, I'm going to 100% agree with the price that she's putting per parent or per student that's coming in, right? It's okay to get to that point because if you believe in the idea, I mean, I would believe that Helen can do it. She's got the right platform, she's got the right ability, the right skills, but I just think Helen needs to tweak ABC, but that's fine. We'll open that for discussion. It's all right. So don't worry if they're not happy with this from the get-go. Because potentially, I mean, I don't know that field, but let's say I do. Potentially, I'm coming to Helen with a better way of doing it. Why not? Because at the end of the day, as much as and as kind as hearted as she is, she still needs to make money, right? And if she can make more, why not? Right? Why not grow the business differently? Then what we talk about currently, this is what we did in our slide, what is the potential else you can do? So I come up and I tell the investors, so now I get paid per lead. I get paid potentially if you want to do ads on my platform, because any website can make money from ads, but I can do more. So one trick I always do here is, right now on my platform, I can tell you where not to live in Dubai due to pest control issues. Because there's one area of Dubai that always complains about the same yellow water and rats and cockroaches.
Where is that?
No, you don't. But the idea is suddenly everybody's like, holy crap, your platform has all that info. Yes, my platform has all that info. JVT, JVC, guys, avoid as much as you can, as much as you potentially can. The horror stories we hear about them is not even funny. But I know that now, right? I can tell you who's asking for more cleaners. I can tell you who needs more live-in mates versus live-out mates, because people are using my platform. How much can I do with that information? It's endless. I can tell the noob or Ace Hardware who is looking for paint, where is he, and how much paint he's looking for, right? Because someone would have posted a job to paint a 5-bedroom villa. Sell him paint. So suddenly, I've showed the investors so much potential in my platform. I've just increased my valuation with one slide, right? Because all of you now are like, click, like you got it, yeah.
So do you sell your data?
Currently, we don't. There's one negotiation happening. Currently, we don't, because we'd rather, instead of selling you my data, I'd rather you offer paint through my platform and I make money through it. Why should I just give you the static data? So one discussion we're having, for example, is with Here Maps. So just taking a step back, myself and all my co-founders are ex-Nokians. So anything to do with the telco industry we have in. Nokia has a mapping platform called Here Maps. So we're telling them, you don't know where the service providers are, but we have all their GPS locations. So why don't we give you their GPS locations? But we want to negotiate in a way where every time a customer uses one of our GPS location service providers, they pay us 20 fils. So we'd rather do it that way versus here's the data, right? Just a smarter way of doing it, but we have it. You know, like I can sell it to mapping companies, I can sell it to healthcare now. Having health insurance is compulsory to everybody, right? A lot of health insurance companies have no idea how to approach the small SMEs. I have them. I have 5,800 small businesses on my platform. All their details, their trade licenses, come offer them healthcare through me and I'll give you a little bit of money. And I'll take a little bit of money from that, right? So again, I've showed that potential. So yes, I'm an online platform to find service providers, but hey, hold on, I could do so much more, right? So instantly investors are like, and trust me, this future is what people buy in more than the current. One, I have the brains, I showed you I know business. Two, you can do so much with our business, right? And I mean, the other things we've thought of, like there's lots of ideas here where we can say, even for financing, we can finance the SMEs through us, or we can, because we have our own IT in-house, we can give them a CRM system so they can book their own timings for other appointments. We can give them more value as a service provider. We can make you part of a platform. We can give you discounts with ACE. We can do all of that kind of stuff. So this is showing the future, which is also important. The next thing we do, again, and this is going back to the big data, is we do machine learning. So our Mr. Usta is using Azure. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Microsoft Azure. It's a cloud platform where you can put your stuff, but it also helps you do machine learning, meaning I can pick up, if more and more people from Marina have a 2-bedroom apartment, it will start to load that information automatically. So the next time you post from Marina, it will automatically tell you, do you have a 2-bedroom apartment? Right? It'll be automated, like artificial intelligence, if you want to call it that, but it's basically machine learning. That's what it's meant on. And we are lucky that we do our own technical development in-house, and the 4 of us are engineers in the background. So we were able to work with Microsoft close enough, and I can announce it. Microsoft is actually going to do a big story about Mr. Usta in the coming couple of months, just because of what we've done so far with this, which is brilliant. Thank you. And thank you. And potentially we could, we're trying to develop posting the job by voice using Siri and Cortana, etc. So that's another one we're potentially working on. Again, we haven't integrated yet. We haven't integrated yet, but I mean, that is another form of development. But yeah, I mean, we're trying to be innovative in the technology part as well to show more value in us, because we have the ability, and we get interested about, like, we get very excited about it. Like 4 engineers, what do you expect? We sit in a room, we're like, how do we do this, right? So that is showing it all. Like now, if you want to get cleaning, or painting. In the past, you had to put in the details of the job, but now you can select that I have a villa or a bedroom. So it's just to show that we've developed the product over time with machine learning. So we don't need to put 10 bedroom villas because they don't exist in this area. Or you're not going to put a villa in Marina. There's no villas in Marina, right? So these kind of things that we potentially do. And then we show the potential from the service provider's point of view. Market sizing from service providers. And then this is where we look at our own financials. What we always do, and I recommend this, is we'll have a folder in the cloud that has all our data that we want to open to investors with a password. Once an investor shows seriousness, and we've had the initial discussion, we give them the password, and they can go open all our data. We call it our data center. And from that point, the reason for it is, one, we're a very professional company, we have data centers, etc. Two, let them read the data at their own time as well. There's value in it than you just trying to present it. So in this part, this is money from leads, this is money from advertising, I believe, and this is cost, our operating expenditure.
Can I just ask you a quick question regarding that data and the accessibility of such kind of sensitive data? People that, we say some of them, turn out not to be as serious as they would.
Yeah.
So those people that probably have access to
Yeah.
data, understanding your business model, being
Yes.
probably able to replicate it to a certain extent if they,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So there is this.
Privacy. Yeah. So this is a discussion that gets open all the time. Now, again, like I said initially, people don't invest in the idea. If an investor comes just to invest in the idea and that doesn't understand you, I'll give you an example. We had a guy from Do, a big guy from Do, come in and go like, I think this is brilliant, this is great. I'm going to come in, I'm going to give you that much money, but you know what, let's change this and this and this, and I don't want you to do it this way. And you know what, let's fire this person. And we suddenly were like, no, hold on. Go do your own thing, right? Because this is who we are. People need to invest in you. Expecting an investor to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, is out of the question. They won't do it. Because it's not about the idea. It's about what you're bringing on board, right? Now, we don't give this to everybody. We have a lighter deck, not even this. We don't even share this. We have a lighter 4-page deck, who we are, what our product is, what's the potential of the market, and like feedback from customers. So I would like meet Helen in a network event, and Helen goes like, you know what, I'd like to put money into you guys. I think this is a great idea. I'd be like, cool, Helen. Let me send you our initial deck. So I'll send that to her, and then Helen will be like, cool, let's meet. I'll have one meeting with Helen, and she'll be like, tell me how much you're projecting. I may share one piece of my Excel. Third meeting with Helen, she might go like, all right, guys, I'm really keen, I'm really interested. Between the first and third meeting, I've vetted out Helen. I've checked who she's invested in, who she is, character-wise. Then I'll give Helen the password. Now, at that point, if Helen wants to screw me, it's going to reflect badly on Helen later, more than on me, right? Because she cannot replicate my business. She cannot. She can replicate the idea. She can potentially go in the market and go like, no, Mr. Usta will never make more than X amount because that's what they projected. But she's going to look worse. She's actually going to look worse in the market. Like nobody's in it. Like the guys that I've told you we spent the time with, in fairness, it was a seed fund, so we weren't at a level with a data center, etc. But he actually walked out and was like, you'll never get investment, right? I'm like, okay, that's fine. Now when he sees me, he's like, hi, he feels embarrassed. Not because he didn't believe in me, but because it was really insulting, right? And then he couldn't do it on his own. He couldn't, like nobody's taken our deck and copied it. I mentioned one of our competitors, Trust My Trader. They would literally get on our website, because we have a profile for every service provider. We own the data. We actually went to the service providers and got their profiles. These guys came on board, copy-pasted. Like we'd see one page getting viewed a lot. Next thing we know, that profile got listed on their platform. Good for them. They lasted 4 months. It's never about the idea. They couldn't go ahead and execute, right? Not anybody can come in the market and copy you. The harder you make it, the better for you, right? If I'm gonna make those ustas love me, be more loyal, give them more value, give them ACE vouchers, give them this, give them that, they're less likely to go to a competitor. But you know what? They'll still go. How many, like Uber and Careem are existing happily in this world, and they're both making money, and so is the RTA. They didn't lose their money. They're still doing fine. They're all making money. How many house booking platforms are here? Whether it's houses like Dubizzle, if you're a property finder, Just Properties, Biyut, they're all alive, right? It's okay to have competition. You're actually helping educate the people. It's all right. I don't mind having Help It, Souk's competitor, like Souk now has their own vertical called Help It that competes with us. I don't mind Move Souk, who've rebranded Service Market. Actually, us and Service Market have a very polite, professional relationship where we actually go out for coffee. This is how weird it is. We cannot discuss our businesses in detail, but we'll go out for coffee, we'll talk politely. It's fine, it's good. Because if you use Service Market, I'll tell you I'm like Service Market. I've just saved 2 hours of talking, right? And the same goes for service providers. It's okay. They cannot copy, like don't be too scared about your data. Yes, be selective, yes, vet out the investor, but don't go like, I don't want to like, the moment anybody goes to an investor and says, I want an NDA, they'll be like, good for you, then go find someone else. I'm not, you know, be careful with that.
I'm going to share a story. I had someone actually contact the franchise that I have here in the Middle East, North Africa, and the US, and they tried to go behind my back to download the curriculum. And the people in the States, obviously, they came up to me and they said, by the way, such and such, there was a download request that came in from the UAE. I could have very easily gotten them to stop. What I did was, I found out who it was, I reached out to her. I found out that she's trying to develop her own curriculum. I sat with her, I told her I'll house you and I'll help you build your curriculum. And now she's actually working in a school in Abu Dhabi with her own curriculum, and it's fine. You don't need to go behind my back. No, come talk to me. I'll tell you, she sent me her curriculum, I gave her feedback, I told her this is what's missing. And now she's got her own curriculum that she's using in a school in Abu Dhabi. By all means, don't be afraid. The best thing you can do for yourself is be in a position where you are the authority of the industry.
Yeah.
You know, and at the end of the day, that's what I want. It's not about the curriculum. I want to be the authority in the entrepreneurship ecosystem. I will bring all of them up, and I will help them, and I will do whatever it takes. You know, so like you're saying, idea is a part of it. What you make of it is very different.
And then with that move, actually, Helen gained more professionalism by showing that. You know, it's even better, right? Like I said, we really love Service Market's approach to us and us chatting together, right? Like I said, so there's the Excels that have all the financials where we're projecting. If I get 10 jobs today, I'll make 30 dirhams per job, that's 300 dirhams per day, whatever it is that I'm projecting out. And then I summarize it into a graph, and I only put that graph in the pitching deck. It's up to you how you want to do it. Some people will take a snapshot of your P&L and put it in the deck. I don't recommend putting too much Excels because you can't even read those numbers, right? So just don't make it too heavy. Always have an attachment with it. Always have your financials done. Financials are essential. I think you covered 2 courses on finance, 2 parts on financials, right? Not yet. All right. Okay. But financials are really, really important. Now, do understand that when you're at the beginning, there's a lot of guesswork in financials, and investors do understand that. But your ability to think every point through is the point, right? So for me to say there's advertising revenue, there's lead revenue, there's call revenue, so I've thought my entire business out. And again, like I heard you guys when I walked in, sometimes it's more about you doing the exercise and you thinking about all aspects of your business that's much more important than the data that comes out. And that's what the investors are looking at. So what we did in our case is we just showed a snapshot and a graph. That was our intention, just showing them a little bit of a snapshot and telling them this is where we are, this is how much money we're spending per day, this is how much we're making, and if we enter Saudi, this will be that much more, and we enter Egypt, it'll be that much more. So we also showed the investors here clearly that Saudi and Egypt are next on our plan. Now, the next thing we did is we did a seed fund before this deck, right? So I showed them what we did with that money to show that we didn't waste it. So like I mentioned to you guys, we rebranded. I'm showing it in the deck as well. Whatever money I've gotten, if you've been bootstrapping, what did you do with your bootstrapping money? How much have you achieved so far with the money that's been put in you, whether you put it or not? Now, showing that you can do so much more with 10,000 versus someone else is also beneficial here. So for 350,000 to do all that is huge. We rebranded, we launched a new site, we launched the apps, we did marketing, we got to so much revenue per month, all with 350,000 only. So that tells an investor that if he puts 600,000, we can do triple. Because that means we're an efficient team, we work clean, we're good, we're strong, we know what we're doing. That's part of what you're showing. It's just gaining confidence. All you're doing is you're selling yourself and your abilities to do this business. That's the majority of it. And then what we did is we ended up with, guys, we're trying to raise $1 million. That was our bridge to Series A, pre-Series A. It was convertible note, but I don't want to get into that. It's just different types of investments. And then it's a 12-month. How we're going to spend the money, 47% will go into marketing. It's just a little snapshot. What do we want to do? We're going to spend it there. And a little bit more detail, we're going to do marketing, we're going to hire senior people in the company, and we're going to expand. It's just showing the next round that you're going to give me what I want to do with it. So someone may say, I will only invest in you if you go to Egypt tomorrow. Well, it doesn't suit my business to go to Egypt tomorrow. You're actually going to cause havoc because UAE isn't stable. So thank you, I appreciate it, but no. Don't take any money you get given. Take smart money. Like, be careful with people that give you money for the sake of it. It may sound great, but be careful with that because you want the right money. You want the investor to have the right expectation. Never paint a different picture to an investor just to get his money. It will hit you later. It'll be great for a couple of months, and then when you don't meet what they want, it'll be really bad. And then we show how we're going to project that money, what we do with it. How many people are we going to hire? How many? Again, that's a snapshot from our Excels. I've X'd all the numbers out, but it just shows us. We're going to launch an Arabic site in first quarter. We did. You can get us in Arabic now, which is quite funny. We're going to get more CRMs. It's just showing them what we're going to do, the phases of our next few months. And it's always great. Like, I'm really happy that we did and closed Q1 with the Arabic launched, because that was a big hurdle, especially that we want to go into Saudi soon. It's just what are numbers growth? How many jobs per month would we get? Now we're running at around 2,000 jobs a month, which is great, because when we got the investment, we were doing 400 jobs per month, so we quadrupled, multiplied by 4. Like, all these kind of things you try to show. And it's great to go back and show that we did meet them, which is essential. And then who we are. Like I said, they invest a lot in who you are, like a mini CV. Nokia, you'd see Nokia repeated in every one of our. But this is our investor. So this is our seed funding investor. Amjad, do you know him? See now.
He helped me actually come up with my business model.
He's a really good guy. He's a really good guy.
Out of this world, one of the nicest people.
And like I said, we closed in 4 weeks. He doesn't waste. Like, he's not a BSer, right? He's one of the few people that you come across that will quickly. Have you met him, Mona?
No.
You'll meet him on Wednesday.
I'm meeting him on Wednesday. Where does he work?
So he used to be a private equity CEO for NBK, National Bank of Kuwait. Before that, he worked in Wall Street. So he's Palestinian, American passport, lived in the US for quite a bit of his time. But he's actually a board. He's actually a board member in Shakespeare, like, you know, Shakespeare Cafe we all go to. He's a board member in quite a few companies.
And he was, when I was nominated for Social Enterprise of the Year, he was nominated as Investor
Was he?
of the Year.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. He's an awesome guy.
He's,
And so for him, like, he came in our seed funding, and he actually rolled the sleeves and he helps us. So he doesn't, like, he's here as a board member as well, right? And he invested in us in the first round, invested in the second round. He's wanting to invest in the third round. So he'll re-put his own money. He now has his own, he's opening his own VC. It's expanding, not yet there. Precinct Partners. It's based out of DIFC. But he, for us, is an angel investor because he put his own cash. So he hasn't come in as his venture capital. It just depends on how you approach him, because we approached him earlier than he did it. So what we're showing here is him being happy to be on our deck is great because, again, you saw the reaction. Hey, guys, this guy came in our seed fund and believed in us, and he's still on board. And he's coming again. And then just who we are. One great advantage we have is our technical development done in-house by our CTO. So he's one of the founders. And I mean, I wrote code back in the days, but he's an amazing code writer. That's always great to highlight. He did the Etihad Airlines website in the past. So he's got the experience, he's got the ability to do it. So this is showing who you are. That's your mini CV. What's your background? Why do you think you can do it? What's the value that you add? And that also helps with your valuation. So having all that on board gives us a lot of value. And then just a summary slide. We solve problems, what we do, who we are, just to remind them. And that's basically what we pitch. That's our deck. Thank you. Thanks. Questions?
Thank you so much. And I know we went a little bit out of time. Do we have another 10 minutes for Q&A? Whoever that has to go, you can leave. I know some of you have to go. But we're recording the Q&A. If you have a question, you can just ask and then listen to the recording. Otherwise, just watch the recording later on.
Yep.
I really regret that. I would love to stick the Q&A.
No worries. No worries. I'm happy you use the product.
Get your contacts.
Yeah, actually, it's here. I'll let Mona circulate. I'll try to give you a business
Yeah,
card.
and Merhan is actually at In5 as well.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
So we're in 5. We're about to graduate. We've been with them for 3 years. We're about to, but we've got our own. Okay, you've got that? All right.
So ladies, next week, Tuesday.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So.
We're going to the entrepreneur.
You have to press the
Oh.
button, yeah.
Okay. Questions?
Thanks a lot, Dunya.
No worries.
Questions, ladies?
You mentioned something about the video presentation.
Okay, you want to see that?
Oh, yes. While Dunya is bringing that, let me share a story with you that it was it 2014 that we met in Ramadan? Was it 2015?
Last
We
year.
have already launched.
Last year, 2016. It wasn't that long.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you said no for We should have. It's just 2016.
Sorry, it was just.
But
I
we
haven't.
have come a long way since then.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
honestly thought
Yeah.
it was just when we launched. So when I met Dunya in Ramadan, I honestly thought they were just launched. They have come such a long way. And one thing I want to share with you is that at that time they were not that known, honestly. And we chatted about it, but now it's not even a year, and where they are, amazing. Really, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's my hope for all of the entrepreneurs. That you start small, but then the journey just opens up. So really, congratulations. That's awesome.
So this is our old logo, guys.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, we're thinking Super Mario, but close enough. So this was a video we did, and yeah, it was a video we did for something called Eureka. I don't know if you've heard of Eureka. It's a crowdfunding. Yeah. I can give you my opinion about them later, but we had to do a small video about us. This was way before, like, we just launched the website. So there's still a lot of new stuff. Some of the information is a bit different. 2014.
Can I record it? Is it okay?
It's on our website.
Leakage at home. How do you find a plumber? If you're looking for a reliable cleaning service, how do you actually find one? What would you normally do? Would you call a friend? Would you search on Google? Mr. Usta was born out of a desire to provide everyone in the UAE with an easy way to find quality service
That was a lot of fun.
providers. Service providers like plumbers, cleaners, painters, mechanics, the list goes on. It's an online portal that connects consumers with local businesses. And we all know there's a lot of local businesses out there that are great, but they're very difficult to find. So simply, Mr. Usta is a win-win solution that builds both trust and convenience for everyone. You can search for the service provider, the Usta, by tapping either their name or their category in the one search box. This will give you a list of Ustas categorized by the customer ratings. Or if you prefer, you can do that by location. It's easy to contact the Usta. You can do that via phone, messaging, or via free SMS. You can even actually get the Usta to contact you by posting your needs in the related category. We're very passionate about Mr. Usta, and recently we've been getting a lot of great positive feedback. It's always amazing for us to hear from other people
Look at how
how
funny
Mr.
Brahim
Usta is really making their lives easier. This is the best time to be part of our story. Let's be Ustas together.
You're such a good speaker.
So guys, we developed this in-house, if you believe that. Completely. Brahim did all the editing, all the. But yeah, so this is how we start. Like, again, you heard there was no cost per lead, there was no, like, it was a different business, but it just shows confidence, right?
Yeah. This is when I get goosebumps.
I'm doing well. Sorry.
What's your biggest lesson learned from the first pitch that you did? I mean, what would you recommend?
Look, I pitched a lot, and I pitched in places that I knew would get me nowhere, but I just wanted to learn how to pitch. And it's different to say I'll practice pitching at home to actually pitching in front of people. I was even called, like, as a joke, the CPO, like Chief Pitching Officer. And my other co-founders would turn the P into B if I get in a bad mood, and you can figure out why. But the idea is always pitch your business, even if you're doing it to your friends. You know, even if you're doing it to strangers, just keep pitching your business for you. They may not care. Like, I've pitched in competitions that are completely unrelated to us. And people have gone like, why are you even here? But that's okay, I may have heard one comment that helped me. The other thing is, sometimes the wrong people tell you the right thing. So listen to them. So this whole big data, we didn't even click to it till someone that I have, with all due respect, I have no respect for him. But he said, but you've got so much data, what are you going to do with it? And I remember all of us going like, okay, let's walk away slowly without him noticing, but he just gave us a great idea, right? So it's things like that. Like, you may not believe in them, they may not, but always would always take people's advice when you're given. You know, be grateful for the advice you get, regardless of who's giving it to you. That was a big thing. You need to take a risk. Just to give you guys some background, we're 4 co-founders. 2 completely gave up their jobs, and they were in really good, really well-earning jobs. My husband, for example, was working for 2.5 years with no salary to make this business work. Now, we all know Dubai, you cannot work with no money. So having someone dedicated to the business like that proved to the investors that we're really serious, right? If I want you to give me 100%, I have to give me 150%. It's normal, typical, right? So you need to show that. You cannot say like, I get this a lot, I've heard it from a few people. I have a really great full-time job, I'm gonna do this on the side, and I want it to grow. It's not gonna grow. Like, that's a turn-off. You have to dedicate, you have to sacrifice. You want something to grow, you have to put your own. It's like you want to lose weight, you have to do something about it. You want to learn a language, you got to put in the effort. You can't do it. Cool, awesome.
Any other questions?
I'm just curious, how did you find your Oscars?
What we did initially is we hired an agency that went around, and they got us 2,000 service providers. We created our own app. So the guys would walk to an usta, take a photo, GPS location, write their details, and he got uploaded to our website. They got us 2,000, and part of that was them telling the service providers about our name. That was before we launched the website, because we couldn't launch without data. And then we filtered through it, so we launched with 1,300 at the beginning. And then after that, we didn't do much with the ustas because it became a word of mouth. So you can go on our website and just add your business, and we get quite a bit of that, quite daily. We get 5 or 6 that do it on their own. And then this guy will tell his friend, and he'll tell his, you know, it spreads very quickly within the service providers. So we're lucky that we spend no money, no effort to gain ustas anymore. And like I said, we have 5,800 something at the moment, which, you know, is covering more than we need, really.
Your experience with Eureka, you said you have some comments.
The market, I believe, is not that ready for the crowdfunding idea, right? There's a lot of things that we try to copy from the US and we can't do. And the hit rate of Eureka is quite low of actually being able to raise funding. If I'm going to speak very, in order for Eureka to work, you need to have investors that are already interested in you, but just want the platform. So you go into Eureka, you put your business, but 60% of your fund is already ready. And then the other 40 will come. If you go there with 0, you won't get anything. And they kind of hint to that, but we saw it with us and like 7 other startups with us. Unfortunately, they hide the ones that don't work out because they don't want to show it. So I'll be a bit hesitant. Like, I haven't heard a lot of great.
That's actually a great tip, because when I look at the startups also, if it's like 60-70%, the chances of you investing in them is a lot more than when it's like 5%. You don't always wait to see if they're going to get higher or not. But if it's already 70%, then it's easier to get 30%. Very true.
But if you have the 70, you don't need to go to Eureka, right? Because you're going to give them a part of it. So why should you go through Eureka if you already have the 60% secured? Also, one of the things I'd give advice with is when you're pitching, for example, Amjad with us, he always said, I'll come back again with 200,000. I'll come back again with 200,000. So when I went to new investors, I said, and Amjad's coming back again, just to show who else is, you know, that helped us as well. So if you have someone that will come on board, and once you get to VC level, it becomes a game. The VC will give you a sheet saying they will invest, let's say 300,000 if you bring 500. So you walk around with that sheet, show it to the others until you get the 500, and then they bring in the 300, right? So everybody wants to go to the party that their friends are going to. They're not, you know, no one's going to come along. So it's just about playing that up smartly.
It's really a game, right? It's honestly like a game. And for those of you who are planning to do fundraising, but maybe not now, start from now. Because as Donia mentioned, every time that you do it, you just become better and better, and you get a lot of feedback. I remember SMA Advisor, they had a pitch competition, and Paul called me like 3 days before and said, Mona, would you like to pitch? I'm like, yeah, I have 3 days, okay, fine. And I confirmed. And one thing is that it gives you a deadline. So we updated everything, which for me was also like all the projections, what we wanted to do, all the new plans. So first of all was like good clarity for me that this is where we want to go. And the second, one of the judges was like one of the top guys from one of the banks. And he said that this concept, like I pitched really well. So I was quite sure that I would win. The comment was, I didn't win. The comment was, we tried this with Khalifa Fund for mompreneurs who are in Abu Dhabi. It didn't work. The guy thought I'm talking about like a 60-year-old sitting at home doing nothing. When I said mompreneur, they didn't think of like what I mean by mompreneur, which is like Dunya. It's like Donna Benton. These are the mompreneurs I'm talking about. It's like all of you. For me, the feedback was that every time I go, I have to tell them what mompreneurs means. It's not somebody who's sitting at home, doesn't want to do anything, like 2-3 hours is crafting something. It's like a proper businesswoman. That feedback alone was enough for me to put all of that effort to pitch. So definitely, I advise you to finalize your pitch deck, go to the pitch competitions, pitch wherever that you can, just to collect feedback.
And if you meet an investor now, even if you're not interested in money, be their friend. Like it's like dating. One day you're going to ask them to marry you, so start, you know.
Seeing them from now.
Yeah, start whining and dining from now, right? Oh, well. Sweet.
Thank you so much, Dunya.
You're welcome.
I
Very
really
welcome.
appreciate it. Always
Very
happy to have
welcome.
you here. Thank you, ladies. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks.